Hey, this is the Bennington Show on a Tuesday. I'm Ron Bennington. There's Gail Bennington.
Yo.
And I'm Ron Bennington. Obviously, the news is once again crazy, but these are the things that we get every once in a while. No matter what happens, like, why is this madness? How is this madness? Is the madness ever going to stop? The weird thing is, when people start talking about security reasons, England my whole life has had much bigger security stuff than the United States because they used to have the IRA problem, which seemed like it would never end, and oddly has. But you see that stuff, and it happens at a concert, and it's all kids. It's the fucking saddest shit that you could ever see.
It was like the news was so heartbreaking, and then this morning, victims surfacing, and of course, like when you heard where it was, you knew it was going to be, there's going to be a lot of young kids there.
Sure.
So it was just awful. It's horrible news, and then it's worse that, like, you're like, oh yeah, this is a thing that happens in our lives now. That it's like it's heartbreaking, but it is weird how comfortable we've become with just like, oh yeah, another one of these circumstances.
Well, it seems to be the way that you think of natural disasters now. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like a tornado is an awful thing. A hurricane is an awful thing. An earthquake is an awful thing. And a fucking moron wearing a nail vest or whatever the hell these things are. These are just awful fucking things that happen. I was just glad that Chris Stanley didn't go out last night. I said, like, Chris, I just want you to stay home one night only.
Yeah. So you knew he was safe.
Thank you.
His enemy is himself, and it's a very difficult enemy. It's cunning. It's a cunning enemy that's out to get him.
Can't figure that guy out.
It's so sad that someone has to use you as a way to get out of, you know what I mean? How to get out of sad and uncomfortable talk. Everybody personalizes this in their own way, and my personal thing was, I'm doing Anthony's show today. So we're not going to sit around and have fun talking about the old days and remember this.
That's not going to happen.
No. But then I thought that as far as the world's problems, that's probably third or fourth on the list for everybody. That I'm going to have an uncomfortable day.
Yes.
Probably first is the victims' families.
That's got to go top for sure.
But the other part of it that you're just so used to is the news channels immediately trying to put this thing together within the first 15 seconds.
I know, because they do this thing. They're like, we don't want to jump to any conclusions, and we definitely want to be careful not to report, but we think it's this. And you're like, well, why would you say?
They also have just a ton of experts that are ready to come in and just do this. Like, they're never on the news channels, and then they have to be prepared like a first responder, but it's a first responder to bad news. So they have to come rushing in. This guy was in the CIA for, 20 years. And if this was this, then what is it? You're like, yeah, I guess this is just part of life. Absolutely part of life. No. So fucking stupid. Such nonsense. When I think of the people who tried to push peace, people like Gandhi, MLK, me, probably 2 or 3 other guys, probably even a chick in there somewhere.
Somewhere.
I don't know. I'll say Mother Teresa, although, to be totally honest, she was only good for a girl. You know what I mean? The other guys, the other guys would really go at it hardcore. A lot of times she was just either cleaning up or making cupcakes, which were great. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, it was so great to have a peace meeting broken up with some of those. I used to call them MT cakes. I'm doing this thing tonight with a bunch of funny comics that's going to help out, I don't know what helps out kids with cancer. I don't know. I don't know the name of the thing, but who's the comics on the list, Chris?
It's a Dan Soder.
It's a Dan Soder. What are you suddenly doing over there? It's a Dan Soder. Hey, yo, it's a Dan Soder. He's so fucking funny on stage. He's so tall. I mean, he's
very tall.
Yeah. And we're going to be at the stand tonight. And his head just scrapes up against the top of it. And I've actually talked with the managers at the stand. They're like, if he grows another inch, he's out. Because they're not. I found out that they had actually even raised the ceiling for him, and they can't anymore. It's a dinosaur.
It's a comedy for a cure, a St. Paul Jerks benefit. That's Dan Soder, Sherrod Small.
He's hilarious.
Ron Bennington, Tim Dillon, Annie Letterman, Mark Normand, and more.
Tim Dillon, not a lot of people know this, was a child star.
He has the youth, like a young actor's vibe.
Does he really? See, I thought of him as just like a fucking Long Island street guy.
Yeah.
But you think he gives off the vibe of somebody from the background of theater?
Once I was clued into that, then I kind of like started to see those attributes in his personality.
I don't pick up on, he looks like 6th generation fireman to me. But God, he has a love and an understanding of the theater.
I love that.
Oh, he loves the boards.
And I love that review. What was he reviewing? Hello Dolly? No, not Hello Dolly. He was reviewing some play.
Sunset Boulevard.
Yeah, Sunset Boulevard.
Yeah, he goes in deep. He's, I guess, what you would call a diva. So tonight at the stand, it's going to be a really fun night. Great comics. Everybody going up and doing a few minutes, and for once, it's for a good cause. You know?
Yeah.
Finally.
It's not just about you guys. Like it always.
Oh, it will be. Believe me, it will be about those people on stage. I said I want to get up early while the kids are still awake. Because they get a little drowsy as the night goes. You know how kids are. They get rambunctious.
They get so sleepy. Cranky.
I like to think of them more as hanky, hungry, and cranky. Because hunger sets it off. And the other thing, Chris, and I tell you this every day, you got to hydrate.
I know. I always forget to stay hydrated.
Well, you think that your hydration is just straight fucking moonshine.
Yeah. And with the amount that you sweat, you need to hydrate more than the average person because you sweat more than the average person.
And that was my problem in Austin. That's why I got so dehydrated.
Well, what was your problem the last fucking Unmasked that was here in the...
It was nice and cool in there.
Yeah, it was nice and cool.
Didn't feel it.
Then we come down here and he's like sitting in a chair and he starts to say to me, I don't want to buy him for a show. Don called and we might not be able to get... I'm like, what are you fucking talking about? What are these papers for?
It's for a guest coming up in about 20 minutes.
Yeah, well, let's wait.
Make sure you have it.
Steve Earle's going to be here. He's got it's Steve Earle and the Dukes, and his new album is You Want to Be an Outlaw. Kind of a thing of the old Waylon Jennings days.
I love the new album. It's really, really great.
He's great. He's one of the greatest songwriters today. Maybe any day. What am I doing? What am I doing? Dodging the 40s and 50s? I'm not anymore. I'm standing right up to them now.
Don't be afraid of them.
I am kind of afraid of them. And there were some really great writers there.
You don't want it to get back to them.
But Steve Earle is one of those guys that stays so busy that he makes you feel like you do nothing. And I'm specifically talking to you, Gail. I'm not saying about anybody else.
I mean, I've done some good stuff.
Put on 2 shock jocks this week on
I did.
Girl Meets Girls.
I had 2 lady shock jocks from Shame On.
I hope you let Jen take the day off because those shock jocks were scary.
No, Jen was there. My producer was by my side.
I was hoping so much that they didn't find out that she has 3 distinct ethnic backgrounds.
I know. I was very worried. Luckily, she's pretty, so they couldn't get her.
Yeah, but they'll get on something else. They just get and they get and they get.
So if you're interested in hearing these 2 latest shock jocks, it's Micah Fox and Karen Feehan. It's on Gail Meets Girls, and you can check that out at the Terabang.
Yeah. Make sure that if you have them on your show, you don't have a blemish. Chris, you ought to do their show as a Tinder guy.
Well, I have no shame in it, though. Oh, no, they're going to shame me about it.
Yeah, they're going to shame you.
No one comes in and says, I'm ashamed. That's the point of these shows.
You don't come in groveling, please forgive me. Well, they're like, they take something that you hold dear or something you can't change about yourself.
They're not going to fat shame me. You don't think?
Oh, that'll happen.
I don't think so.
I don't even think you need to be on the show for that.
You're starting to tighten it up anyway. Now,
you're right.
Gail, you sent in this weird piece off the New York subway line, which is, I don't know, it's like I'll just say it Lynchian. It's very David Lynch.
It is very Lynchy. It's like, instead of those typical, it's showtime kind of performers, this is like a very bizarre performance art piece.
This is the kind of shit that you don't want to see, because it doesn't look like an art piece. It looks like a scary death cult.
Yes. I would first assume that these are maybe mole people.
What the fuck?
You never saw this?
I haven't seen this, no.
I thought of you immediately, since you spent half your life underground. So these weirdos...
They're wearing masks.
And
they're
rags.
wearing raggy bag clothes.
And
some of them have
clean, by the way.
some, like, kind of wood instrument.
And they're writing, like, weird...
Yes, one of them is...
hieroglyphics type shit.
The other one looks like it has a duster, and it's just dusting.
Now, I know that they think they're probably being arty and edgy. But, you know, when you have news like last night, you don't want to get on a fucking train and go, what are these 6 people up to?
I don't feel like fucking around when I'm on the train, no matter what's happening.
When I was watching this, I was like, now this is the other thing about New York. No one will give them a fucking, just even an eye line.
No.
Just like it's not happening.
And like, not even like, I need to remove myself from the situation. Like maybe somebody from outside of New York might go, we should get off this train. These people are just like on their phones or just reading their books. They're just like, whatever. It doesn't.
But part of me wants to get up and just start kicking them because I don't know what they're fucking up to. And if the news teaches us anything, it's stranger danger.
Yeah.
That is basically, this is an adult version of stranger danger. I'd probably just start yelling out on the train, this is not my father.
Yeah, but it is great to just see everyone around them just like, I don't give a fuck. Like, you think you can freak me out? There's nothing you can do.
Just want to go home.
Like, I'm not giving up my seat because you're weird.
I feel like freaking them out, though. You know what I mean? I feel like just going over and just, I don't know, fucking untying their shoes or something. I don't have to go all the way as the kick.
Just put their little wood instrument in your mouth.
Who gives a fuck about you and your weird art thing? We're in a metal fucking container stuck inside 100-year-old tube. I don't want you fucking around, ass face.
That's the other thing. There are places jokes, I'm not okay with jokes. Yes. And the train, like, goofing off around the train, not good. Goofing off in an elevator, not good.
Right.
You saw me get upset. This was like last week when I saw someone playing around with the fucking revolving doors. That's not a time for jokes. Let's knock that guy out.
He stopped the revolving door because the girl that he worked with was in there. It was like, I don't know, I guess putting her pigtails in the old inkwell.
Yeah, so he like pulled back so she got stuck in the in-between zone.
What a prick.
And then he was laughing, and I'm standing beside him like, excuse me, because I just wanted to get through, but I was also trying to free the woman. It was both. I was annoyed that I
kind of a hero in a way.
Saved her. I don't like jokes like that. This is serious time. Airplane jokes, not funny to me. There's no joke. I want to see like something funny, like wouldn't it be weird if?
No.
You have the people who do the funny bomb jokes at the airport. I get it. You're the fucking funny guy at work. Shut the fuck up. By the way, I'm asking you this about the Steve Earle. What's Camp Copperhead?
Camp Copperhead is like a 4-day event he has where people come in and like they hang out. He does talks and like teaches them how to. Teaches them guitar lessons.
Teaches them guitar lessons.
Gives them guitar lessons would be the actual way to say that.
So you teach someone how to give someone else guitar lessons.
It's meta.
So, the other day I'm talking to my dad, and he's really bored because his health isn't back that he could do all the running around that he wants to. And then he started saying to me, I really think we should learn ukulele. And I go, who, me and you? And he goes, no, everybody in the family. We should all get ukuleles. I'm like, okay, Pop, we're all going to get ukuleles. I think Gail has one. Do you have one?
I do have one.
How hard are they to play?
They're pretty easy. I learned guitar first, and I taught myself, and then years later I picked up a ukulele, and I was like, wait, this is way easier than guitar. It's really fun.
How expensive are they? Because I might have to buy everybody.
They're not that expensive. I mean, like, you know, they vary.
Give me a price.
I don't know, like $50.
I ain't fucking paying that for a guy.
$30?
I'm not going to pay. I'll pay $2. Is there a $2?
I don't think there is. I don't know. I was
didn't know
thinking a nice
that
one.
a good ukulele isn't $50.
You think it's more expensive?
Look up. Just put how much does a good ukulele cost, Chris?
Ask Jeeves.
See if I can get 14 of them. Very, like on some kind of a nice fucking deal.
It's like $60 for a good ukulele. Well, this one's 67.
It was fun just hearing you say good ukulele.
All right, hold on. Google has a chart here.
Yeah.
Cheap toy ukuleles are $25 and under.
A
high-end ukulele, $900 and up.
Yeah, I might get that one. I'll get everybody else to 25. Then I'll have a fucking beautiful.
Why is your sound so good?
By the way, he seemed like he was very determined, but I don't know whether it'll be that way the next time I talk to him. I think he talked to my brother.
Yeah.
My dad was like, my brother's like, you play ukulele easy. That's all he needed to hear.
Yeah.
He was off to the races. We got to all get ukuleles.
It's a pretty easy instrument to learn.
You say that because you can play instruments.
No, I can't really.
I saw you with the guitar when you were a kid. You were writing songs like within a couple weeks.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, compared to other instruments, I would put it on the easiest. I'm actually shocked. I'm really shocked that you stopped because you were holding court there for a while. Yeah, the thing was, I never took any guitar lessons. Everything I learned to play was like what I was able to teach myself. So then I hit a wall, and then I never took guitar lessons. Yeah, I should have had someone teach me more than like 7-8 chords. Is what I needed.
But here's the deal. Some of the best songwriters of all time aren't great guitar players.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like the thing that you could do, you were writing. She wrote a song about me called My Dad is a Fuckwad. Mm-hmm. That was so, well, it hurt, obviously, but I was glad that you finally finished something.
I'm glad you really saw the deep meaning.
What is it about parents? They want their children to finish things.
I don't know.
Finish that puzzle. You started that puzzle, now finish it.
I'll be honest. You were not like that. But from what I understand from other parents, they were like that.
Yeah.
Like other parents are like, if you sign up for that thing, then you're going to finish. Like some kid would just have this idea like, I want to learn how to play harp, or like, I'm going to join the soccer team. And then 3 weeks later be like, I'm a child. I don't know what I want. That's not what I want at all. And then parents would just like make them stay doing that thing.
Yeah.
Isn't that a terrible lesson? Isn't it saying, oh, cool, so when I have an interest, now I'll never share it with you?
It is an odd thing that we want our kids, and no one knows why this is, where you're just told that it's important to finish stuff. I remember I always played all the youth sports when I was a kid, and I think when I was like in 7th grade or something like that, I was on like second shift school because of my middle school, so I would go to like 6 o'clock at night, and I was playing on the youth football team, and then I had to go right there without, to practice without eating dinner. My team blew that year. My coach was a dick, so I was just like, hey, I quit after like 5 games or something. I just not doing it. And people were very weirded out about it, and then I wasn't, right? And they're like, you realize that you won't be going to the banquet. And I'm like, yeah, I realize all that.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I'll skip the banquet. So then the following year, I go, I'm back on the regular schedule. I'll play again. And it's just a matter of playing with your friends. It's not like I had ambition to,
right,
go to fucking Notre Dame or something. No one does. So I was like, I'm signing back up. So they're pulling me on. They're like, you realize this is, and I go, yeah. They go, well, what about last year? I go, I can't even remember last year. Fucking 12 or something. Last year's nothing to me. It's a dead zone. But I remember thinking, man, I realized there was a bigger deal to the adults than it was to me.
Right.
I don't know why it wasn't. I don't know, a lot of things that are supposed to you find important, like in grades and shit like that. It just I didn't care about it. Give me whatever grade you want. Hoss, I don't give a fuck. Just grades, right?
Doesn't matter.
And I remember them even saying, when you try to move on in life, they look back at your 4th and 5th grade kids. And I remember thinking, they don't.
They don't. And not to mention, the only time it happens, from what I can understand, is going into college, they look at your junior and senior year grades. But other than that, not before that and not after that.
But again, that's with school. Right? That's just school's care.
A school.
You're not going to fucking come to Sirius and they're going to go, we're looking back over your high school grades here.
Right.
Shocking.
Permanent record.
And then they don't look at your grades when you're out of college either. They're like, did you graduate?
Yeah, no one does any follow-up on the actual, 4.0 GPA.
Yeah, nobody cares.
I killed it, man. I killed it. My college courses are fucking bullshit.
Nobody looks at that shit.
Is this helping me get the job?
It's all it is did you go or not?
Yeah.
How much did you go? Did you go for 4 years? That's pretty much it.
And you're going to tell us you graduated, right? Yes.
And you've been in meetings here. You've never heard anyone said, look, I know we got a problem. But I learned something in college I think is going to come in to help for them. Some of my college experience is going to help us solve this problem. It's graduation time. So they're using Radio City and they're using all the halls. It's just amazing. And you just see how happy these kids are and how happy their parents are. And all I can think is, man, the anvil that's going to be dropped on you in the next year. You know what I mean?
Crushing.
Just a fucking anvil is going to come down.
By the way, today I was on the train with what I would assume was the kid who's graduating, and then his parents and his Asian family, and the dad was so drunk.
Good for him.
So drunk. And the mom was trying to laugh it off and be like, we're having fun this morning. We're on our way to graduation. And the son was just rubbing his temples.
Sure.
And I was like, this is horrible. This guy is so drunk. He fell on me
Can I defend him for a second, though? He probably had a half a light beer. Those Asians cannot handle their liquor. I don't know how they do with weed. No. I'm going to imagine someone lights a joint and they jump out a window.
Contact high's too much for them.
They get fucked up fast.
They do.
Yeah.
They do. Very much so. Very red in the face.
The Native Americans struggle with the same thing. It's almost like an allergy. Now, when do we get Justin rolling in?
2 weeks.
Do they know that we're this long without interns?
Yeah, they know. And they planned this way for some reason. I don't know why. It's usually 3 to 4 weeks in between semesters of interns.
34 weeks in between semesters.
3 to 4.
That's really long.
I said. It's pronounced 30, not 3 to. But still. I went down to Vito's school. It looked like for his what was your senior movie night?
Yeah, my thesis movie, thesis film.
The kids that he went to fucking school with, it looked like they needed foam toys. You would not even want to give them a physically hard toy, or they'd end up hurting themselves. All right, a lawyer wrote in about how their grades are going over. Yeah, that's what we need. I was watching, I know you guys don't watch Better Call Saul, but they were showing her job. And I'm like, why would you want this fucking job? Just these stacks of papers about some boring fucking contract. And it looked so incredibly impossible that if I was a lawyer, I'd go, I can't imagine why you would want this, and I'm definitely not doing it.
Contract lawyer sounds like the worst.
It's the worst.
You're reading the stuff that's actually written in a way that they hope you don't read it. That's why that stuff is written that way.
Dude, I have never made it through the thing that you said yes before you play Madden. That fucking goes on. I don't know what they think happens. or what I have to understand legally before I can press play and see if I can't take the Texans to their first Super Bowl.
Wow.
But it's like pages. And I'm like, children play this fucking game. We just say yes and start playing.
I usually say yes to everything except for the last Twitter update caught my eye. And I was like, this doesn't seem right. And I went through and just read a little like, oh no, I'm declining all of this shit. Cause it was like
sharing information.
We're going to start, catering ads towards you. We're going to cater tweets towards you based on things that you like and interests and people you follow. And I was like, no, I don't want any of that stuff. No. I really don't want that.
That's how it's all working now. It's fucking creepy.
I don't, that stuff.
It's worked like that for a while. And a friend of mine said today, the other day that ads showed up for something that, how like if you go and look for sunglasses,
yes,
every ad is a sunglass ad after that for the next fucking 2 weeks. This was supposedly for a product that she never even searched, but was just talking about in her home. And suddenly that showed up. And that's gotta be fucking illegal.
How is that possible?
Because your phone and your TV, and if you have like an Alexa, like those digital assistants that just are like, it's like a cylinder, and you talk to it, it plays music and gives you information. They're listening to you all the fucking time.
No. It's
fucking true.
Is
your
that
computer,
true?
your television, and your fucking cell phones are listening to you.
Well, they're going to hear a lot of screaming arguments. I never asked for this!
See, even the shit of like stuff I'm looking for being sent to me as ads drives me insane.
Right.
Like I want to just go, I already bought the fucking ottoman. Stop sending me fucking ottomans. You think that that's my only interest in life? Like, yeah.
You think that defines me?
You're like, I don't need every ottoman. I just wanted one. The purchase has happened. Stop fucking showing me ottomans.
But check this one out, though. Free shipping.
I'm not a fucking ottoman enthusiast. I just was buying an ottoman.
But you seem like you're obsessed for a while. I'm going to be on their side. You did seem obsessive about that ottoman.
It's never stopped.
But the thing is, they don't want to control your life. They just want you to keep buying.
Yep. That's it. It's just for advertisers. It's all for people to just feed the...
And there's not like there's a person listening to you. There's like an algorithm listening to you.
Yeah. And so it's listening for keywords.
Right. Hey, Doc, what's up, buddy?
Hey, what's going on? I just was wondering if I could get a Bennington recommendation. I'm going to meet my biological father in a couple days, and really overwhelmed and stressed and scared. And I was just wondering what albums you would recommend to kind of groove out to.
Well, if you... First of all, the first thing popped in my head, Father of Mine, Everclear.
Oh my
God. Father and Son, which is the T for the Tillerman album by Cat Stevens.
Yeah.
But I think, no, did you go looking for him?
Actually, my wife found him for me, and I wasn't really prepared for it, but she put it all together. So
Why?
I know I've been having this nervous breakdown because I didn't really want to find him, but she did, and now we're going out to meet him. And
I'd go out and meet
I've been listening to super sad records, and I don't know if you go with the sad records or if you try to lift yourself up with some of the happier records. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you might want to, kind of brace yourself and just start listening to Iron Maiden for a couple days. You know what I mean? You don't know what you're dealing with here.
I was thinking just go total zen. Just Enya. That's it. Just clear your mind.
Sail away. I'll tell you, worse than you, and this is so weird, I grew up with my biological father.
Oh my God.
So I can't even begin to tell you the pressure.
In the same house?
I'll tell you a new album. Do we get the set list on this, Stu?
Yes, we do.
Is Steve Earle's album. A song on here completely blew me away, but let's jump into it, Chris. This is So You Want to Be an Outlaw. And by the way, I do think that you should listen to some outlaw country while you're doing this. But the name of this song?
This is Looking for a Woman.
This is Steve Earle from So You Want to Be an Outlaw. Looking for a woman that's so you want to be an outlaw, and Steve Earle is here with us. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. How are you?
First of all, congratulations for this album. Really,
Thanks.
really cool.
Really proud of it. I mean, it was sort of, kind of started organically. T-Bone Burnett asked me to write a song for Nashville for the TV show several years ago, and I was sort of writing 3 records at once the way it turned out, because Sean Colvin and I were writing songs for the record we made together. I was finishing songs for a blues record I was making. And then he asked me for a song for that this one character in the show was supposed to have written. It was the first year, and he was still the music supervisor. And he just, I wrote the song. They used it in the show. And then the next year, Buddy Miller took over, who's also a friend of mine. He asked me for a song for Nashville. So I wrote that. They didn't end up using it because the music supervisor vetoed it for some reason. But I had 2 country songs, and I just sort of thought, well, maybe that's what the next record should be. And I've been in this mode of listening to, I have Beatles records I listen to over and over again, in cycles over the years, and Stones records and Dylan records that I'm that way about. And they're, are Willie Nelson and Waylon Jennings records that I listen to. They're a big part of who I am. And there's a Waylon Jennings record called Honky Tonk Heroes that came out in 73. It was made in 72, but it took him a while to talk RCA into releasing it. So same time that Willie made first Shotgun Willie and then Phases and Stages on Atlantic. And it sort of defined, what they call or what people later actually called outlaw country. And, what this channel that I'm on, on Sirius XM is all about, and it's based on that music. And it's, a lot of people want to make it about something that it wasn't. What it was about was artistic freedom. It was country artists realizing that people in rock music were getting to make records the way that they wanted to, and they wanted to do that too. Yeah.
But it was always about strong lyrics too. It was always, like for me, I remember the first time that I started to listen to Christopherson when I was a kid, and I'm like, wow, this is like a book or a movie or something.
He's a Rhodes Scholar. Yeah. It's like country music, it was already pretty smart. Willie Nelson's a pretty smart guy. Yeah. And Willie's part of the generation that was there just before Chris got there. Chris was the first post-Bob Dylan songwriter, him and Mickey Newberry, and Chris would have never gone if it hadn't been for Mickey Newberry. Newberry had a sort of a foot in both worlds because he was already an established songwriter that came to Nashville and brought songs all the time. Thank you. Before Dylan came along, Chris, then later the rest of us went to Nashville, Guy Clark, Towns bounced in and out of there, and we were all post-Bob Dylan songwriters. The exception is Billy Joe Shaver. He grew up the same time that Guy and Towns did, but I don't think he knew who Bob Dylan was, but he still ended up being this incredibly literate songwriter, just sort of organically, and I've never been able to figure it out. His stuff there's a whole record of his Honky Tonk Heroes is all Billy Joe Shaver songs, which nobody had ever done that before.
I'm always, it's always amazing to hear about people that are songwriters, and you realize that there's an amazing amount of craft that takes place, but then there's something else kind of unexplainable, the way great songs will just pop in on people.
I do a songwriting camp, in Big Indian, New York, and it's coming up. This is the 4th one, I guess. And I can't make anybody a songwriter that wasn't already a songwriter before they got there, but I can teach you something about how I write songs, which means if you're already a songwriter, you're a better one, and when you leave, and if you're not, then you'll know more about it, about the process. The things that I think are important in the songs, I am unapologetically a post-Bob Dylan songwriter, and so to me, it's about, I am trying to write, literature. I'm trying to write something that is just as literate and just as poetic as anything that someone would put on a page, and you would consume like that. I don't, or a play or a screenplay. It's just, it's the medium I'm most comfortable in. I do other things. I've written a couple of books and a play. I'm working on a musical now, but songwriting is, I think it's what I was put here to do.
Do lyrics come to you first? Do you start with lyrics and then?
Not always. I do sometimes. Sometimes it's simultaneous, but when that happens, it's usually like a verse and a chorus, or maybe just a chorus, and then the rest of it gets to be more work. And And some things I just can't figure out where they come from. But I do assignments. I wrote Ellis Unit 1 for Dead Man Walking because Tim Robbins asked me to. I wrote a song called Some Dreams, which is over the closing credits in The Rookie, and that was fun because, it's a movie about baseball. It's a chick movie for guys is what it is. And it's like, I love that movie. Yeah. But it's just, I like having an assignment, because I want to try to keep writing. And as you get older, it gets harder to trick yourself into, getting up and doing something every day that nobody's making you punch the clock. And, so I sort of welcome, projects, being asked to write a song for somebody specifically or for a specific purpose in a film or a television show.
Well, the musical, so there has to be the thematic idea first before you even attempt to write songs for that. You have to say, this is about this. What are you going to be writing about?
Well, I made a record in the year I moved to New York in 2005, called Washington Square Serenade. And when I started it, I had it in my head that maybe it was a musical. Then I chickened out and I finished the album. Now, so there's some of the songs, 3 or 4 that aren't part of the original song cycle. But I've gone back to the idea of developing that into a musical and probably writing the book myself. I'm talking to a production company in town. I don't really want to say who yet. But they've got the songs, they've got my synopsis and so I'm waiting back to hear from them, and I probably won't give up, if they don't like it. I've been working on it for a while. I've got another couple of projects that I'm just doing music for, and I've sort of hung my shingle up. I'm available to write lyrics if you need to write just lyrics or songs or whatever you want for your theater piece. I'd be glad to look at it and see if there's anything that I can do.
Well, Washington Square Park has been this gathering place for people who play and write songs for
a long time.
For a long, long time.
And it's also the thing that most people don't know about it. And my show's based on that it's been a gathering place where people come to play songs. And the characters in it are people that hang out in the park and busk and sort of spend a lot of their lives there. But the other thing you have to know about the park, and if you don't know it, you'll learn it from my musical, is that there's 20,000 people buried underneath Washington Square Park. It was a potter's field. And it's my neighborhood. It's my front yard. It's my little boy thinks it's his front yard. And, I know the history of the neighborhood pretty well. I just sort of became obsessed with it when I first got here. And and it was a lot of other things after that. And that becomes sort of one of the narratives, like the master narrative for this piece is the history of the park itself. Yeah.
It's also been a place of political resistance since, this country about started, that whenever something would come up, whether it was anti-war or unionizing, they would start in the park.
And then also Judson Memorial Church on the south side of the park. That was, they put up the numbers, the number of people killed in Vietnam every day of the Vietnam War, and they did the same thing beginning when this last war started.
The new album for Steve is So You Want to Be an Outlaw. And there's a song on this album that just kicked me right in the chest as soon as I heard it, because I felt like it was my own story, but knew it was from Colorado, which I think as you grow older, people would understand the song.
Yeah, it's actually, the song is a song that Allison Moore, my ex-wife, and my niece, Emily Earle, started. And I just wanted to make sure it got finished. So I kind of butted in and helped them finish it. And Emily recorded it on a EP that she put out last year. She may record it again. She's really close to a record deal in Nashville, but I decided I'm really, really proud of the song and think it's beautiful and love playing it and singing it.
Let's play it real quick, okay? Sure. So this is from So You Want to Be an Outlaw. This one is News from Colorado. And that is off So You Want to Be an Outlaw. Steve Earle sitting in with us. And that's a song that hung around for a while, before it was finished.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was, I think, probably Allison and Emily probably started it maybe 4 years ago, something like that, and then I finished it, and it sat around for a little bit. So it's probably the oldest song of all the songs on the record. It's written before any of the other ones were.
But that's the other thing about songwriting. Some of them come in 15, 20 minutes, and the other you just toil with for...
Yeah, and sometimes things will be sitting around, you'll realize it fits someplace that didn't really have a home before, and that's sort of the case in this. I mean, most of this record's, me on the back pickup of a Fender Telecaster, there's only like 3 or 4 acoustic things on it. There's a song, called Goodbye Michelangelo that closes the record that I wrote for Guy Clark, who was my teacher, who passed away this last year. And, there's just, and a song called Girl from the Mountain. Then I played mandolin on one track, and then the rest of it I'm playing electric guitar. And that was just, it's the Waylon thing. I was just basically channeling Waylon Jennings unapologetically for the whole record.
Do you remember when you first heard Waylon? Was it
Yeah, probably on television, I think. Like one of there were 50, syndicated country music shows that were on the air in the 60s and 70s. And I think the first time I heard Waylon, it was probably doing, it was either Just to Satisfy You or Only Daddy That'll Walk the Line. I think it was Only Daddy That'll Walk the Line. And it was, and this guy's different. He's playing electric guitar and he's, I watched the Johnny Cash show religiously, and because I could see, it made me not feel so weird about wearing cowboy boots and having long hair, both where I grew up in Texas. And there was, you saw Merle Haggard and you saw Bob Dylan and Derek and the Dominoes and. Yeah.
It was an amazing show.
On the same show. It was the best music shows on ever were when I grew up watching just as I was starting to play guitar, the Smothers Brothers, which the summer replacement for that was a Glenn Campbell show. Yeah. And then that morphed into Glenn's own show. And then, the Johnny Cash show. And then there's all those syndicated shows. Buck Owens had a great TV show. And, I heard Buck Owens on the same radio station that I heard the Beatles on because songs like Tiger by the Tail crossed over and were played on rock and roll stations. So. At least in Texas.
Yeah, no, I totally remember that as well. And it was just, they were just looking for songs at that time before they had the chance to break them into genres completely, the way that we've learned to do. But Cash's show, I remember Linda Ronstadt doing
Linda Ronstadt was on it, and it's funny because you can trace it back to several things like Neil Young, Linda Ronstadt, Linda being in town to do the Johnny Cash show, the vocals on Hard to Go were put on that week because she happened to be there doing the Johnny Cash show.
Is that right?
Yeah. So it was the last year that it was on the air. And it's also the trip that Neil bought, that Martin D28 that he still owns. It's belonged to 2 people ever. It belonged to Hank Williams and it belonged to Neil Young.
That's crazy, right? So. Neil, is one of those guys who seems to kind of wear it well. Willie, this last album that I heard of Willie's was just unbelievable.
Yeah, it's really, really good record.
So interesting that, some of the music is always aimed at a youth culture, but then other people can just ride that wave. And Cash's last albums are some of my favorite.
Yeah, those are great records. And Rick Rubin, is owed, everybody owes him a debt because he saw that those records got made. Cause Cash, probably would have given up, I think. Mm-hmm. And Rick managed to get him going and get him interested in himself as an artist again. I ended up, he recorded The Devil's Right Hand. It's just a guitar and vocal version of it. It was the very last record that he made. And I just, which was an honor for me because I knew Cash a little. He's like, I played on a Johnny Cash record not too long after I got out of jail it was John's track for the Dead Man Walking soundtrack. Mm-hmm. The band on it. Rod Cooter called me and he said, "Hey, I'm coming to do this Johnny Cash track for Dead Man. I already done my track and turned it in." And he was one of the music supervisors on it. He said, I'm bringing, I'm going to bring Jim Dickinson and Joaquin, his son, who was 17 at the time and already a great drummer. He said, I need you to get me an upright bass player and a gospel, quartet, vocal group. I tried to call the Fairfield 4 but they were in Europe. and I'd use them on records. So I got the Nashville Bluegrass Band to actually do kind of the white version of that pretty well themselves, because there's a thing they call the Tennessee Gospel Quartet, which is, it's just, they'll put the bluegrass bands do something. They'll put the instruments down, just gather around the microphone and sing a gospel song. And the Nashville Bluegrass Band does that really, really well. So I got those guys that did the background vocals. The great Roy Heskey Jr., who's no longer with us, but was the best doghouse bass player in town. He played bass. And of course, Jim Dickinson came in and played piano. So the only time I got on a record with Jim Dickinson, and he and I talked about that for a long time. It's one of my few regrets is I never made a record with Jim as producer. But, I knew him from, all the trips I made over to Memphis. I made Copperhead over there and he was around. I made, I mixed records there and produced records there, and he was always around, and we never did work together except on that one Johnny Cash record. So, Johnny Cash was a very big deal to me and all of my life. And so being where I'm from were Waylon Jennings and Willie Nelson.
Do you think that, kind of like you were saying, Cash, Willie Nelson, do you think that country music or even just singer-songwriter kind of lends itself to that elongated career, like getting better with age and getting...
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're really saying something and it's not, it's not strictly about... If you're making art that's not strictly about sex, then yeah, it can last right. longer. It's one of those things. And your audience grows older with you. I think, it's weird, over the years, I think I probably have more women at my shows than I have in a long time as I've gotten older. It's kind of strange, but, it's also certain, I know some of it's some songs that I've written as I've gotten older. So that I probably didn't write in my 30s and 40s, but it's just that thing of, if you're really a writer, then you kind of find a way. I think people know that. They know that it's you. And, what you got to be willing to do, and the one thing I can't teach anybody to do, and I've known a few people that have tried, and they were smart enough, they knew, they were listening to all the right stuff. But if you're not willing to give it up a little bit, if you're not willing to be, to expose a little bit of yourself, then you're not going to be able to compete with people that do. It's one of those things. Because people have come to expect that. Because what they're looking for, they're not looking to see somebody hurt. What they want is empathy. And you have to sort of peel down to a layer where, you're putting a little bit of blood on it to create something that is about your experience, but when somebody else listens to it, they go, "Oh, that happened to me."
Yeah.
Right. They don't care about the specifics. They don't care so much that you got your heart broke. They care that they've had their hearts broken too, and that you, are accurately describing as far as they can tell how that feels.
Yeah. Now, do you think even being in recovery made you a better writer because of that you're sharing?
Well, I think it made me a better everything, but, cause it's kind of hard to do stuff when you're really loaded. But, I was lucky I never bought the idea that there was anything performance enhancing about any of the drugs that I took, and anything that I did. I never believed it. I knew I was impaired.
Right. But I mean the daily task of staying sober and being around other people who are being sober. There's an honesty there that I didn't find most places.
That's true. That's absolutely true. I mean, I wrote pretty good songs before I got sober, but I think the first song I wrote sober was Goodbye. And, it's like, there's blood on it. And it's like, it's an out of sequence ninth step in the key of C is what it is. The very first thing that I wrote,
That's great.
When I got my hands on a guitar for the first time after I got sober.
Camp Copperhead is also happening June 26th through the 30th. And this is, people can sign up for this. You talk about it. You do some songwriting there with them. And even for people that are never going to do this professionally, there seems to be something to me positive about having a creative outlet.
Yeah,
in your life.
Everybody can try to write songs and it's, the food's really good and their cell phones don't work there. And it's in Big Indian, New York, which is old school Catskills, like probably 30 minutes west of Woodstock. And it's just, that idea of, I don't paint very well, but I paint.
Right.
And it's important that I do it. And I started doing it again recently because the last couple of years I've been in an apartment where I can. I've got really good light. I'm on the fourth floor facing south, overlooking, kind of a garden space, and it's a weird place in Greenwich Village where I live, but it's like the perfect, painter's apartment. So I feel like it's a waste if I don't paint.
I just think painting is a great example that I never painted at all until, I was well into my adulthood. And I remember painting, and then the next time I went to the museum, it just exploded. It was an experience I had never had before.
It's absolutely true.
And I was walking up and I'm looking at some of these things. I'm like, oh, I can kind of see his fingerprint there. I can see the brush. You get the physicality.
Yeah. And it's like writing, haiku is something, which is a Japanese poetic form that was designed for everyone to do. Now there are masters and the people that are, that were poets that write, and there are poets that write haiku. But it was designed to be poetry for everybody, a poetic form that everybody participated in.
I think it's something that we kind of forget about, that people realize, that before television and even radio, people had to sit around at night and try to
entertain themselves.
Entertain themselves.
Try to keep from killing each other.
And you would kind of have family bands or people just reading to each other.
Yeah, that's folk music. That's what it is, and it's why, a lot of it came from the South, because there was more isolated communities, further and further apart, less for people to do than there was, say, on the East Coast, where there's, bigger communities and more things you could think of to go out and distract yourself every night. So people, then wireless radios that ran on batteries came along. Mm-hmm. That's huge because, even like Lyndon Johnson became Lyndon Johnson in Texas politics because he brought electricity to the hill country in Texas. That's that expensive real estate west of Austin out there. He got electricity out there in the late 50s and early 60s before there was electricity there. People don't realize that there were lots of the country. I can remember no inside plumbing in my grandparents' house in the early 60s. No inside plumbing. They had electricity, but it was bare light bulbs hanging from the ceiling, and the telephone was a party line with a phone that you had to crank. And that was 1963 or 4. Technology's made such huge leaps forward. So radios that ran on batteries made it possible for people that lived in houses where there was no electricity, which there were a lot of in the 30s and 40s, to listen to the radio, and then radio exploded. So there's always some sort of technological advance that sort of pushes art along.
Right.
That's one of them.
Yeah, I had Earle in here, and he was telling me, like, Woody Guthrie didn't even see electric light until he was well along, that it was basically camping. Yeah. Every night of his life, there were like lanterns. The new album is So You Want to Be an Outlaw, and let's send you off with Fixin' to Die, which you guys come at it pretty hard on this one.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. I think when I wrote it pretty late in the process, and we rock pretty hard, whatever you wanted to, how you want to describe what we're playing. So we kind of had to have something, but this is like, there's an old country tradition in songs about people that they're being, getting ready to be executed, that are guilty as hell of something really bad that they did.
Thanks so much for being here, man. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Steve Earle. Lots of toys and games and fun for the family. How about that Steve Earle?
He's so cool. Man, he's just one cool dude.
I'd like to be an outlaw.
I feel like you are in so many ways.
Just because I don't do things that the law says doesn't exactly make me an outlaw.
Well, you're a badass. Does that count?
A badass outlaw. Seriously, outlaw country is worth the price of admission for Sirius XM. I'm going to tell you the truth. I remember years ago, I thought, well, some of these stations, I don't know. There's a lot of good stations now on Sirius XM, and that's never me pushing stuff.
But Outlaw Country's always kind of topped the charts for you. They've always been your number one.
Well, I would never say, because I always keep like a top 3 or 4 for road tripping. But Outlaw Country is a place where I can find new artists, new songs. Like I said, that song that I played, I kind of forced him into playing the song. He went out his way to go, hey, the whole album is an acoustic like this. I just like this song. But News from Colorado, that song's going to be with me the rest of my life.
Yeah, that song is gorgeous. It's a really, really great album. But I agree that song really stood out for me as well.
There's always this thing, and Chris, you don't know because you never moved away, but you have your own amount of heart. But there's always this thing of guilt when you're young, when you're a person who left when you were young, when you left people and things behind. And then, just News from Colorado is never good. I mean, it's just a crushing, great line, great song.
I loved Goodbye Michelangelo as well. That song is
I shall let you play it, but I wanted to go out a little stronger.
Yeah. But no, that song is really good. The song we ended with, because that's like kind of the most rockin' one.
Yeah.
But yeah, that song really got to me. It's really heartbreaking.
Jen, does any of this mean anything to you, or do you have to? When you call me on your cell phone.
It does. I mean, I see how much it means to other people.
Oh, that is so sweet.
That's an empathy that Chris Stanley will never have.
It's just a way he'll never be able to relate to us. She doesn't have to share the same interests in us. She has empathy.
Right. Or you could just watch the fact that... All right over there?
Yeah, I'm good.
You could just watch the fact that Vito listens to Darkness on the Edge of Town 20 times a day. I want to get a movie review. He went and saw the Rock's new movie last night. Without giving anything away, how many apples do you what's the name of this thing?
It was Baywatch.
I never can remember the name Baywatch. Never.
Doesn't strike you as...
Well, first of all, they're never on a bay.
Yeah, aren't they on the ocean?
Yeah, they're on the fucking ocean. There's no bay there. So that, if it was called the Ocean Front, I think I would be like, oh, I remember it now.
Yeah, this one was in Florida, but I'm going to have to give this one... How many apples is it out of?
4 apples.
This is 2 apples out of 4.
Wow.
Whoa. Oh my God. You love the Rock.
For you not to like a wrestling movie?
Yeah, it was not, they didn't really go for the parody like the 21 Jump Street movies did. They kind of just went for like a straight up Baywatch movie.
Oh, yeah, I know. I don't know if I even like the parodies of the movies.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. Cause then,
I don't know where any of these go.
But yeah, I mean, to be honest, I remember very little of even what the plot of Baywatch was. I just remember the running.
They were lifeguards that somehow got involved in crime solving. I don't know why. Normally a lifeguard is so busy pulling somebody out of the water.
Yeah, like there were crimes, right? Like there's like, what is it, maritime
drug dealing?
law?
Yeah, there's drug dealing on the beach. There was people ripping off other people. But I'll tell you what Baywatch made people realize. Oh yeah, those lifeguards, they all do carry around those hard red things that they can float on or hit people with.
Yeah, it was disappointing. They referenced the whole why are lifeguards getting involved in all this crime. There were 0 rock bottoms, which I was pretty upset about. I told you guys that.
Stop being funny.
He rock bottomed somebody in one of the Fast and the Furious movies, and I thought he would do it in every one after that.
Stop it. Stop being a wrestling boy and start being a man.
Baywatch man.
Being a
Even just a wrestling man, I'd settle for it.
Be a wrestling man. Where's my wrestling man at? I want to play with him. News from Colorado's never good.
So you loved it?
No, I did not. And I'm really, I was just as shocked as you guys are that I didn't like it. And I was like trying to force myself to like it the whole time.
You're just like forced smiling.
Yeah, I was like, I guess that was a good one, Dwayne.
Did you see when Hanks called him Wayne the other night?
I know.
Fucking made me laugh.
And then he had to like double down after that. It's like, now Dwayne, really loud after that because he knows he fucked up.
Dwayne. Well, you know what? We already do have the name Wayne. It's dumb to put a D in front of it. There should be no DW in life ever. What was your biggest beef with the film?
Well, there was a lot of homophobia in it, actually.
Really?
Like,
that's better than Islamic phobia.
But it was like a lot of like other like jokes you haven't seen since the 90s of like calling him princess the entire movie.
That's funny. Like he makes fun of someone's masculinity.
Yeah, like a lot of calling him princess. A lot of there was a big joke where like they kissed at one point. Zac Efron wears a dress at one point.
Is that princess? Is he the one?
Zac Efron is getting called princess by The Rock the whole time.
Interesting.
So, and I didn't think The Rock would put himself in a situation like that.
That's odd. It's an odd mistake to make for 2017.
It felt very out of place. Like it felt like something you haven't seen in a movie in a long time where the joke was just, you're not a man and I'm bigger than you.
I think it would be funnier to have a movie where you made fun of a guy for being Samoan. Coconut minority is what I would call them. Coconut minorities. I keep hearing the Beatles in the...
I know. I like that because yesterday morning, they quickly went back to the hits, the top 40 hits. Yeah.
Top hits.
They went back to that channel. And I had enjoyed all last week. Every time I went to the bathroom was Beatles. And I was like, this is kind of a fun thing. Yesterday morning I came in and immediately it was like, what is I'm in love with your body. And I was like, no, I thought, but they remedied it today. We're back to Beatles.
Good. Although I love your body song is good.
I'm in love with your body.
I wish I could write a song.
I think you could.
Do you think I could?
Yeah, I do. You know why?
Yeah.
You have heart.
That's true.
You're a poet.
I don't know it.
And you know you're musical. You're a music man.
Let me just try it.
Okay.
Chris Stanley climbed the stairs until the child's room. Mm-hmm. He fucked his ass and then his mouth.
Don't write that song.
Dude, you just interrupt me and I was on to something.
You're talking about
this
me
banging
kids.
Censorship.
This is like a live read all over again.
Censorship.
It's about me banging kids. If you fucking release that song, people would think I fuck kids.
Maybe wait until I finish it.
Okay.
He fucked those kids and he should be arrested for the things he's done.
No! Jesus.
Don't stop him.
It's me about me fucking kids.
All right, then I'm not going to ever write a song again. Thank
Chris,
you.
God damn it.
You were my muse for a while. You were the shining light for me that I could find in my artistic darkness.
I would love to be your muse.
Oh.
Pull that. Looks like Princess is at it again.
Pull that. Then, when you say pull that, just point at his dick.
But if all I'm using you to do is write pedo songs about me, that fucking looks bad for me.
He just said, if all I'm using you to do.
Why did you get country? Like, fall out him to you guys.
Hey, spit on the old blue dog.
I have to say that when we were in break and he was letting us know that there was a live read, and I'm literally in the middle of the sentence, in mid-sentence, and then he goes, 30 seconds.
Why? You were talking directly to him, though.
And I just stopped and looked at him
when I say those things, I don't mean for anyone to stop talking. I'm just
Chris,
almost like a...
Chris,
yes.
There isn't a rocket landing. There's nothing. I mean, if you just even said now, live read, the second it happened, that's all the preparation anyone needs. There's a piece of paper. But this is what I get. And he made fucking Vito pick this up.
Yeah.
So I just hear 2 minutes. Minute 45. And I'm like, what the fuck?
Dude, I was literally in the middle of going like, Steve Earle's album is just so 30 seconds. Of what? What do you want?
So we're back to the live read.
So but I'm telling you something.
So what? I know, so what? Think of me as like some sort of fucking like clock, right? And I just fucking say shit. You don't have to pay attention to it. So I just want to make you aware.
And who gives a fuck though if you said the live read is now? It's the first I heard about it. I pick up the piece of paper and start reading. What do you think I do over that 2 minutes? I go like this. Come on, Ron, you can do a dish read. You can let these people know how good Dish is.
But the best is, you had told us like 2 minutes. You're like, hey, in 2 minutes we have a live read, and I believed you. I listened to you, and I believed you.
I just want
and so then I was going to take those 2 minutes to have a conversation with my friend Chris, and you yelled 30 seconds in my face.
Why don't you just yell how long we have left in the show?
Throughout the
And then start pacing.
Hour 35?
Hour 34. Seriously, at a certain fucking point, it starts to come across as you're a man who needs help. It's like a bad compulsion. It's a bad compulsion. But really, what preparation do you think it takes?
I'm not talking about preparation. I'm just.
So say it to yourself. Why say it to us? We don't need your fucking countdown, and it makes you antisocial.
It was quite antisocial.
Like, that's the part that's so funny is I thought I was having a conversation with you.
You were.
He doesn't like you as a person.
I do like Gail as a person.
It's terrible because I like you as a person,
That's
Chris.
okay.
I think that we're friends. You know, we're friends first, co-workers second.
Well,
That's
Vito,
how I see it.
I like that.
Vito had an interesting idea about Chris. I probably shouldn't even say it. You want me to say it?
Oh, I want to hear this, yeah.
Vito said to me, hey, let's conspire to get Chris fired.
What the fuck?
And I say that's why I wish I didn't say it.
If you're going to snap like that, he's not going to tell the truth.
All we got to do is pull that and say, would you work with this HR?
What
the fuck?
Please don't. Don't pull things and give them the
Say
HR.
pretty please.
Pretty please.
That's nothing a man should ever say.
I thought it would get me out of it.
It normally does.
I bet, princess.
Vito, you picked up on that habit. We yelled at you for it, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, actually, the only reason I was doing it is because in my ear I kept hearing 2 minutes.
Well, he was doing it to you?
Yeah.
You fucking lunatic.
So he was
You're
passing it
bothering
on.
him.
I'm not bothering him. I'm just letting him know.
Who gives a fuck?
And then he thinks that he has to say 2 minutes.
And then he
to
starts
us.
saying it to me, and I start saying, shut up.
You tell them a minute and a half.
Bother them. Bother them and do it loud and weird, like we're all in trouble. Hey, we're going to announce an unmask. Should we do it today or tomorrow?
Let's do it tomorrow.
Let's do it today.
Let's do it today.
It's going to be very good ones for next week. And if you're a long-time listener to, I'll say the old Opie radio channel, you're going to like this.
This is a really cool one.
The old Opie radio channel.
So, save the date.
When is the date? Next Thursday?
Next Thursday, June 1st at 12 p.m. here at SiriusXM.
Do you know it's already Memorial Day?
That is really, really weird. And I blame the weather for being so confusing. Yeah. It's like, it's 90 degrees, then it just drops to 60, then it's gray.
It's gone down to 10 tonight.
It's just like, I just don't know what season we're in anymore.
They said tonight's going to be a frozen tornado.
No.
It's just a big spinning piece of ice coming at you. Tonight, go, see me at the Stand and help out some kids that need some help.
It's Comedy for a Cure, a St. Baldrick's benefit show with Ron Bennington, Dan Soder, Sherrod Small, Tim Dillon, Annie Letterman, Mark Normand, and more. Shows at 8 p.m.
This is a good show.
It's a really good one.
Everybody in that show is great. Say it again, Chris.
That's Comedy for a Cure, a St. Baldrick's benefit show with Dan Soder, Sherrod.
You don't have to say all that at the Stand.
At the Stand at 8 p.m. tonight.
How do you get tickets?
You go to thestandnyc.com. Get tickets.
Thank you. In that picture, it looked like Dan Soder had a faux hawk, like when little kids that play soccer. I think you have to wait for him to come back around. I don't think you can do it on your own.
Here on a guitar.
There it is.
Oh, yeah.
See, there's like
That's
a little
not
faux
a hair
hawk.
that he has anymore, is it?
Yeah, no.
That's a very different look for him.
Tomorrow night, is Mike Vecchione on the Tonight Show?
Yes, he is.
That is awesome.
I'm looking forward to that. Hey, are we going to dish today? Do you have stuff for dish?
I have stuff for dish, yeah.
All right, then let's dish.
Okay. Let's dish.
Come on in.
Let's dish it up.
Dish.
Let's dish. Dishy, dish, 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 dish. Look how she runs.
Let's dish.
Put on your headphones, Jen's got the news.
Boom, boom, boom.
Let's dish to the gossip they're saying on the radio.
I don't think we can beat yesterday's gossip. It was too good.
There were some good ones in there.
Yeah, yesterday was a good time.
Juicy gossip.
Well, today, so Orlando Bloom, he's promoting a movie, and he went to this, like, you know, like how hotels have, like, the restaurant downstairs, like the lounge area where you get a drink, food. So he had a really hot waitress serving him. And the waitress, they were flirting all night, like, serving it, but nothing escalated in front of people. Mm-hmm. So I guess he went upstairs to his room, and I guess they exchanged numbers, and he told her to come upstairs, and they ended up having, like, a crazy night of sex. So
you're really inside.
This is dishy.
It is bugged.
Once she explained to us what a restaurant was, we really got going after that.
I'm only saying that part because,
so
like,
food and drink. Okay.
Because she ended up getting fired from the restaurant.
Yep.
Because I think that if she was at a separate place, but because she was still technically at her job in the hotel.
Yes, interesting.
I worked at hotels, and they used to say you can't go to the rooms after your shift. But guess what? I used to go to the rooms after.
So it was like this big thing because, everybody was like, why did she get fired? Like, she was really upset about it.
They don't want the hotel to come off like a hoe house, right? And they're not saying, when you're a hotel, you're always walking that line anyway. It's weird.
It's a very weird industry to work in. It's very strange. And for some reason, like, people are in a very sexy mood when they're in.
Well, there's beds all over the place.
Yeah. And it's just like, ooh, I feel like I'm in public, but there's places for me to be alone.
Yeah.
So it already has that vibe about it.
I gotta say this, from the waitress's point of view. You can get other jobs with waitressing. You're not going to bang another goddamn celebrity from
You're saying
Pirates of the Caribbean. Yes.
Well worth.
Yeah, well worth, and worth getting caught and being in the news for it. Let's see. Now she's upped her game.
Her name is Viviana Ross.
She really has like a celebrity's name.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah. Like Viviana Ross sounds like a celebrity.
You tell her right now I want to do a reality show with her.
Chris, let me see a good, well, that's a very weird picture. Go to the other one, just make it bigger.
She looks a little older to me too, but she's actually 21 and Orlando Bloom's 40. So to me, that was a little weird.
Well, what's weird is Orlando came out the gate with like 6 giant movies.
Yeah.
And then everything now is just like straight to fucking video. I mean, he spends more time doing this kind of shit in the news for any movie that he made.
Yeah.
And the reason they said is that he really stinks as an actor. He's just a really bad actor.
Odd.
And he all but ruined Cameron Crowe's career because he cannot act.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, he picks him though. Viviana Ross.
And he has a baby with Miranda Kerr.
You're going to have a baby with Vivian Ross within another day.
I hope they didn't use a condom.
What does he do? He leaves babies all over? Aw, look at these guys.
Oh, God.
Yay! Yay! Radio! They're beautiful kids.
Oh, my God. How cute.
All right, let's dish.
So,
dish it up.
Kris Jenner wants her marriage annulled from Caitlyn Jenner. Like, off
That's
the record.
homophobic.
Well, here's the thing. It's like, we already know you were married. Like, what do you mean? Why annulled?
The eyes of the church?
It's only the Catholic Church.
Yes,
The only people
so
who care.
she wants to claim that it was a fraudulent marriage.
Okay, fine.
From the start of their relationship.
Good.
That's up to the Pope.
Yeah. Do whatever you need to do to feel better about yourself. But you had a baby with another woman.
And somehow you got tricked into carrying it.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
And then somehow all those babies end up in sex tapes.
That you produced.
I think it's just,
and market.
I think it all started with Caitlyn coming out in her book, dissing Kris. Like, that broke up their relationship.
By diss, do you mean disrespect?
Yeah, disrespect.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Now I understand.
She was in a rush.
Okay.
She's got this whole show.
Look, I just need to know this line that I'm on board.
Well, she did kind of diss her because she said that from the beginning. She disrespected.
Yeah.
I
She
thought you
said-
saying diss.
She said that Caitlin said that she was always in on it.
Yeah.
Like they used to cross-dress together.
And Chris claims that she never
says
knew.
no.
And she was really upset that she said that about her.
To me, that's grounds for annulment. No, like, you're right from the beginning. No one gives a fuck whether you're annulled, divorced. It means nothing to us.
No.
Okay? Just keep the ratings up. That's all we've asked you to do, Chris.
I think it's a very strange thing to suddenly have the Kardashian-Jenner family be like, we need to save face on this.
Yes.
Like,
People are going to start and laugh at us. They're going to think we're weirdos.
They're going to think we're rich but trashy, and we don't want that.
No, they're fucking nuts.
Yeah, it's always something.
Seriously, Caitlyn Jenner going from Bruce Jenner, not even the strangest story that we've ever heard out of that family.
No.
That's what's amazing.
Like, each one of them has some sort of big controversy.
Well, what they do is they destroy men. And I'm going to believe that the next person who marries into that will probably transition to a different kind of an animal. Like, I've always felt like a bear.
But I was happy when Kendall got her Pepsi controversy because she was just like the model. You know what I mean? Now she has something of her own. Like Kylie has she changed her entire head and body. Like that was like.
Wow, is that Steve's kids?
Possibly. I'm not sure. I would think so.
They got presents and stuff.
They're so cute.
I wish I had a bunch of kids.
So cute.
Man, he's got beautiful children. All right, let's dish.
Well, David Letterman compared Amy Schumer to Richard Pryor, and everybody was really upset about that.
Well, they both were caught on fire before. Well, he's a guy who knew Pryor and saw Pryor work the store. So, first of all, this is the first time I'm hearing this.
Oh, really?
But, yeah, the amount of heat that Amy Schumer takes and then Amy Schumer defenders is hysterical. So what's his comparison? How does he say they're the same?
He said that they're the same because, like, watching Richard, I guess he said that he was, like, the first guy to talk about sexuality and, like, all that stuff. And he compares that to Amy because he feels like she's the voice of women sexuality coming out.
You know, it's an interesting thing and certainly worth talking about. It's difficult to compare anyone to Pryor because that's already become mythology.
I would agree with that. And, but I would say because, you know, the anti-Amy people are so vocal, this easily could just be a thing that somebody could just quietly disagree with.
Right.
But then everyone goes, how could you say that?
Yeah, the backlash about her is always great. But, I mean, you can't deny the fact that she broke through something. I don't even know what exactly it was and looked comfortable doing it.
Yeah.
It's very hard to be new famous. It's a very, you know, it's like being a baby deer trying to find your legs. You know, when you look at people who've been famous for a long time, they learn to let things bounce off them. You don't do that. You know, when Amy first got famous, she was still fighting with people on Twitter.
Right.
You know?
She's like, why are you saying these things directly to me?
Right. Where,
why wouldn't I respond to that? Someone said something.
Somebody said something to me, like a heckler. They heckled my account. You know, you need years to decide who's the next Pryor or who's the Pryor of, you know, this. Yeah. You just, you know, from a historical point of view. But I will say this. David Letterman knew what it was like to be at the store where everybody was, you know, doing their sets. Pryor comes in, the whole place explodes, and it's the Pryor show. And everybody else is standing in the back watching him do an hour.
Right.
You know, everybody's bumped. So he would know better than me.
Yeah, that's very true. But again, it's like one of those things, agree or disagree. Yeah. It's just because who she is that's where all this fire comes from. It's nuts.
No.
But I would say Joan Rivers is probably the first woman to come out with all the sexuality talk and...
Well, you know, she, you know, because it was a different era, she certainly was a groundbreaker.
Yeah.
But she didn't have the freedom to do what Amy did.
I think Joan Rivers also played a man's game too.
Yes,
you know
she
what I
did.
mean? Like, and I'm not saying that with like tremendous respect for the way she did it, but I think she did something very different where she was like, I'm one of the guys. I don't want to be treated differently as opposed to maybe the same like harnessing femininity.
Yeah.
Look, I would say that Joan is closer to being, let's say, Carlin, of having that lasting thing that, Pryor never had that ability to do it over decades. But what always amazes me, I'll end up in Joan Rivers' conversations with people that you would assume didn't like women comics. I was just in this not too long ago with Florentine, where we went bit over bit of just, and Florentine was saying she was the edgiest. She was the fucking one who pushed. I've had that conversation with Attell before, Norton before, like comics that set out to go out as far as they can to push lines were like, no, Joan was great. And I don't know if the public got that. The public still might have seen her as Joan from the 80s and 70s, 60s, 90s, and 2000s. That's a long run she had.
But you think that to most of the public, it's like fashion Joan as opposed to.
Can we talk?
Yeah.
Can we talk? That's how they know her. But comics who watched her set went, oh shit, man, I fucking look like a pussy right now. Or a princess, as Vito likes to call people. Unbelievable.
Well, David Letterman also said that his other top comics right now are Norm Macdonald, Nick Kroll, and John Mulaney.
Well, that's very edgy of you. Yes, all three of them are very popular comedians.
He loves too much tuna.
Yeah. I think that's coming out soon, right? To Netflix?
Yeah, actually.
The Too Much Tuna, fucking, what's the name of that?
Stage play.
Hello there. Hello there. Hello, everybody. Yeah. I agree, Dave. I agree with everything you're saying. The rich, popular comedians are really good. I always like it when like somebody will be like, no, some of these kids, like they'll say to an older comic, like, who do you like right now? And they're like, some of these kids are great, like this Louis C.K. Really strong, really good. Keep an eye out for them. You know what I mean? Like they feel like they're discovering.
Right.
But yes, everything that Dave said is correct. All these famous people are great.
I'm surprised Kevin Hart wasn't in there.
Well, Dave hates blacks, as you know.
You know he's a racist.
He's a raging racist. But yes, that's always funny when someone says, yeah, Kevin Hart, keep an eye out on him. He's good. He is good. Did he make a movie with The Rock?
Yeah, he did Central Intelligence.
Oh, yeah, I did watch that.
I didn't see it, but I was in the theater while a preview played, and people were like jumping out of their seats.
I enjoyed that one.
And howling, and I was like, wow, this is a preview.
Dude, you should see when he walks into a room. They go fucking bananas when they see him.
Like, people were just like, oh my God.
People running in the walls as hard as they can.
I was like, wow, this movie's going to do well for itself.
Oh, yeah, the Rock in a fat suit thing. Theater, every time I saw a preview for that, people were just going nuts at the Rock in a fat suit.
The Rock in a fat suit had people like standing up.
I am telling you, you as an 80s movie fan will love a little parody that they do in that movie.
Oh, really?
And it's fucking funny.
Yeah, I enjoyed that. It was a lot better than Baywatch.
That's sad, because that's the only thing I laughed at in it. That when a guy was taped. Look at Vito. He just starts laughing like, yeah.
So true.
Any more dish?
We do have another dish. Elton John threw a little shade at the so-called MTV generation. Yeah.
What's his problem?
He said that.
Yeah, like,
why is he attacking the 80s?
Yeah, wait, hold on. Let's just clarify really quick. Is the MTV generation, isn't that Generation X?
Yeah, I don't know where it all goes, but the MTV generation was the first generation that would come home from school and watch MTV.
So that would be like,
these aren't official terms.
Young Gen X to late millennial, maybe?
I would say that if you're in the MTV generation, you're from the early 80s coming of your teen years and even tween years up until like maybe late 90s.
Gotcha. Okay. Fair enough.
I mean, yeah, based on what he said, I would think that he means like the young millennial generation. He was like, we were before the MTV generation, and I'm glad we were because we were real artists.
Well, when you had to add the visual thing to it, right? Like when you see Steve Earle coming in here, he's focusing on music and lyrics. After the MTV thing, and this is from the 80s on, so it's not just attack on the kids. You had to think about hairstyle and blah, blah, blah.
Right. But I just think that's interesting that Elton John would say that because he was singing a different tune when he was like doing MTV stuff with Eminem and you know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
Remember? He like jumped into that whole world very willingly.
First of all, I mean, to call Elton a sellout is ridiculous. I mean, I don't even know how far you have to do for him. But I know what he means, and quite frankly, I thought before Elton got visual, he was much better as a songwriter. I think he got very lazy.
It's like Mad Men Across the Water is what? Like his first, second, third, somewhere? It's
Probably
early.
Third or fourth, yeah.
I think like after that was probably.
You're not a, Don't Shoot Me, I'm only a piano player. Or Goodbye Yellow Brick Road fan?
Like, I think Yellow Brick Road, I would say like half of the songs in there. I'm like, okay. But like, I think Mad Men Across the Water, like full, like start to finish is like a fully perfect album.
I would pick Tumbleweed Connection as my favorite by him. And I don't think there's a single hit on that album. And it's fucking great. But, when you're saying half of Yellow Brick Road, it was a double album, so I still say
okay, fair enough.
Makes for a great album. Most double albums have an album of great material on it.
Filler.
I forget who I was listening. I was listening to one of the. Maybe I was listening to Deep Tracks, and they were playing some Deep Tracks from Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, and I'm just like. Yeah, I don't know why I liked that song so much when I was younger. I don't really get it so much right now. When I was younger, I thought it was great. When are we doing some takeover stuff?
That's coming up in June. That's happening
in June. It's not a takeover if it's planned.
Or it's a guest
takeover.
DJ.
Do they know we're going to take over?
Yes. Like, they've asked us to take over for an hour.
I thought we were going to run in like armed.
Here's the fucking takeover.
Yeah,
and then, by the way,
he
just turned around and made up the term guest DJ. It never gets used here.
I've heard it before, I know.
Yes, I know, but you don't try to fucking please me. It's called a takeover. I'm just saying you can't plan a takeover. What were we? I saw an article. I don't know whether Vito sent it into the iBang or not, but it was about the teen movie. The teen sex comedy is over, and we talked about, like you guys have asked me before about movies from the 70s and the 80s that were just fucking nuts. But the teen sex comedy is somewhat done now. And what's the reason, Vito?
That now teens don't have to go watch movies like American Pie where there's nudity and there's like tits on screen, that they just have they could just go on Pornhub and they could just go on the internet and they have that at their disposal and they could just sit in their room and jerk off instead of like.
And we know what they're gonna do with it.
Like they could take their head and stroke it up and down on their penis until they ejaculate into a sock.
And then what happens?
That is really funny, but the thing is, like, that you miss is you don't get the it girl. Right? You don't get the comedy and the humanity out of it.
I thought also that the whole thing was like there was an obsession with celebrity nudes because young people have so much access to seeing anyone nude that the idea of seeing an actress nude is still somehow more exciting to people.
Yeah, but the nudity in a teen sex comedy, particularly with the celebrities, was rare. You know what I mean? There would be some background tits.
Right.
And normally tits or butt only.
Right, a stand-in.
Yeah.
Like, what is
like
it?
a new girl, like a new actress that isn't a star yet.
Like
Yeah.
Shannon Elizabeth.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking like 16 Candles when it's like the hot girl in school and then like they're just like boing and it's like supposed to be her in the shower, but it's just a close
very
up.
right, it was.
But it's just like a super tight close up on tits. And you're like,
that would
that's
happen
not
a
the
lot.
same girl.
That is strange though to think that the teen sex comedy, which is, a fairly old genre of, in one way or another, is somewhat going. Who was the last one?
Would you put Superbad in there? Because it's not really a teen sex comedy, but they're drinking and they both are trying to have sex at the end of the movie.
Yeah, I mean, like there were like sexy aspects of it, but wouldn't you say less so than say an American Pie?
Oh, much less than an American Pie.
But see, the thing that Superbad had that the old ones had too is that this is normally at the end of a teen sex comedy, they go, why don't we just work on being friends first and then maybe later? You know what I mean? Like that was, the whole point was you're driving towards something that isn't that big a deal, that you're making out to be a bigger deal than it is and what you want is a relationship and not just to lose it as they would. Because there's some of these things were just called Losing It. I think that was a Tom Cruise one, and it was about these guys that are like, I can't believe, like Porky's, I can't believe we haven't gotten laid yet, man. We gotta get laid. We're going to this place, Porky's. We're all gonna get laid. And then something would happen to them where they didn't get laid,
There was one like early to mid aughts called The Girl Next Door
That was a good one.
that I was like, this is like an old school sexy teen comedy. People are having sex, but it's funny.
I'm thinking of a Jennifer Love Hewitt graduation movie where she was
Can't Hardly Wait.
Can't Hardly Wait, which to me seemed like the last pure
Yeah.
teen sex thing.
That's one's got to be like 99 though, right? You
Yes,
think? Yeah.
yes, it was. But there was a purity to that one because when she walked into the room, they were literally blowing a fan that only was hitting her and no one else in the room.
Yeah.
And then she didn't get naked. And, at the end you find out, hey, maybe we should write to each other, whatever the fuck that they decide.
That was true love.
All the stuff. That you should do, because you're not really in love because you're 17. They're not even saying we're going to stay in love forever.
Right.
But, Superbad had that moment where the two boys walked off with the
really
girls.
sad.
And it is really, it's a sad thing. And that's what that was aimed at, more than just seeing nudity. But yes, it's very hard to fucking compete with a porn machine that a kid can keep in his fucking in his bedroom.
The last one that I can think of is that movie Project X. That was just a party, and it was just like found footage type stuff. It came out right around The Hangover.
Was it a comedy?
It was a comedy.
It was a teen comedy. I've never seen it.
A found footage comedy?
I
It sounds very...
attempted to watch this. It was fucking unbearable.
But it was just all like tits and like kids partying and drinking.
They took over a house. It was the bit where, they put out the word and went on the internet and everybody in LA showed up.
Gotcha.
But it's unbearable. It's unfucking bearable.
But that's the last one I could think is that like you're just watching it as a teen to like.
Was he chasing after a girl?
See, I made the case that I think that it's about more than just tits.
Yeah.
That these comedies are supposed to show this arc of life where you start to grow up by realizing the things that you thought were sex really aren't.
Right. And usually they tend to be about an awakening of the main characters and valuing a woman as opposed to just trying to see her boobs through a fucking closet door.
At first he's like his buddies and then he goes, look, Chip, Stevie, and Diddley, I'm still going to be with you guys. But there's going to be other times I'm going to be with Karen. And that's cool too. You know what I mean? Like this fucking stupid thing that just doesn't matter. Who we got coming in today?
We have Mike Vecchione, who's going to be on the Tonight Show tomorrow night, and Paul Morrissey, who's going to be at the Come to Papa Live tonight at the Village Underground.
Nice.
And there's a documentary about him.
Yes.
Being shot. in the midst that we know very little about, but it is
Tom
about.
Papa says they're so close that he doesn't know why anybody would do a documentary.
I still don't know.
But more people saying what a terrific basketball player he is.
I know.
One of the best.
I'm very interested in this.
You know, the last person that told me that Paul Morrissey was a really good basketball player was Kobe Bryant.
Wow.
And I said, Kobe, with your fucking knee, who cares what you have to say? You were the Black Mamba for a while? No mo. You're just another soccer dad.
Do you know what team he almost played for?
Who's he?
Paul Morrissey.
Okay, because that wasn't.
That was
we
bad.
were talking about Kobe. So I have.
He said that was bad. That was bad, boss.
So just say the person's name, and you'll be on your way to broadcasting.
So do you know what team Paul Morrissey almost played for?
No.
The Washington Generals. The team that loses to the Harlem Globetrotters.
We all
every
know
day.
who the Washington Generals are.
I think that's a really fun. I would love to play for a team like that every day.
You came just as close as him. Neither one of you did. I was at a thing where the Generals won one night, where they beat the Globetrotters.
Really? I
yeah,
thought
we
they
all
never
went
do.
running onto the floor. We were going, we fucking did it! No, I made that up. But it would have been great. It would be a great movie that you could work on, you know. The night the Generals won. I think I've even got a theme song for it, right? Ready? Chris Stanley walked up the stairs into the child's room, pulled down his little PJs.
I don't want to know what happens next.
Sounds like a good teen sex.
You already know what happens next.
No,
You lived it, dude.
No, I don't. I've never done that. I don't interact with children. I do it on purpose. I purposely don't interact with
I
children.
was so scared when I saw those children here.
I know.
And I just heard fucking Stanley licking his lips.
I was not.
What? You're licking
I
them
was not.
chops?
At least he's licking his lips this time.
Oh my God, Chris, that's
Disgusting.
so fucking gross.
I don't commit sex crimes.
Oh my God, did you even say it? Hey, plug my thing tonight. It seems like you never want to plug me. Plug every have a fucking ham and egger. I'll have to hear all about them when they come in. I'm trying to fucking cure cancer with, me and Soder and a couple other people.
Annie Letterman.
Before we get Comedy for a Cure, a St. Baldrick's benefit show with Dan Soder, Sherrod Small, Ron Bennington, Tim Dillon, Annie Letterman, Mark Norman, and more at the Stand Comedy Club here in New York City. The show's at 8 o'clock. Go to thestandnyc.com for tickets.
Just didn't seem like you give the excitement that you give other people.
I'm very excited.
I didn't hear the, smile in your voice.
I didn't either. It just sounded like you were fucking at gunpoint. Like I would be sitting with your family going, I know he's saying that, but he's forced to say it.
I want to say
He
it.
doesn't mean any of the things that he's saying. He'd really would rather be with a kid right now.
Oh my God.
Oh, man.
Maybe if
Chris,
you
I feel
yell
like
fuck when you're talking about it, it would be better.
That's really gross. And I honestly expected better from you. I
I
should have known
expect
when
better
you.
from ISIS.
I should have known when you yelled 30 seconds in my face.
I don't do things to kids.
What?
He's not listening to you. He doesn't know how to move forward.
No, I do, but
He's obsessed with children is the problem.
God bless the beast and his children. Guess what TV was almost on? And then he yells at us, I think it's a fun fact. I'd love to be on that team. Well, neither one of you made it. So you're tied.
I thought I was going to say the Magic or something.
Yes, Chris. The Magic.
I like when the two of them help each other.
What are you doing?
We will love a live read.
Live read.
We got another live read.
Let me read it right now. Ring's mission is to make neighborhoods safer. Today, over 1 million people use the amazing Ring video doorbell to help protect their homes. Ring knows home security begins at the front door, but it doesn't end there.
So now they're extending that same level of security to the rest of your home with the Ring Floodlight Cam. Just like Ring's amazing doorbell, Floodlight Cam is a motion-activated camera and floodlight that connects right to your phone with HD video and two-way audio that lets you know the moment anyone steps on your property.
See and speak to visitors, even set off an alarm right from your phone. With Ring's Floodlight Cam, when things go bump in the night, you'll immediately know what it is. Whether you're home or away, the Ring Floodlight Cam lets you keep an eye on your home from anywhere.
Ring Floodlight offers the ultimate in home security with the high visibility floodlights and powerful HD camera that puts security in your hands. With Ring, you're always home. Save up to $150 off a Ring security kit when you go to ring.com/comedy. That's ring.com/comedy. That's ring.com/comedy.
Welcome back to Bennington.
Thank you.
Mike Vecchione and Paul Morrissey are in studio. Mike's performing.
I'm Paul Morrissey.
Mike's performing on the
Don't do that anymore?
I'm Paul Morrissey. Mike's performing on the Tonight Show tomorrow night on NBC, and go to MikeVecchione.com.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And thanks for having me on, guys. Short notice.
I would always put you on short notice.
I had to come on here and suck myself off a little bit. And I
You have every
figure
right
your
to.
listeners would love to hear that.
Yes. You want to do your set right now? Wait, we
Thanks for having me, everybody. You guys, interesting what happened on the way over here.
Just start like on the Tonight Show with the funny thing about black people. They
Roots, am I right?
They say they want to work, but
You notice this, folks?
You're trying to get them on board with something that they're just,
No, we haven't.
And Paul Morrissey's here. He'll be at Come to Papa Live, which is happening at the Village Underground tonight at 8 p.m. Go to ComedyCellar.com for tickets and more information.
That's a great show.
Yeah, Mike did it last. Yeah, he was great.
It was awesome.
sorry I haven't been able to do it, but I've never asked. But from what I understand, Paul, and I'm fascinated with this documentary on your life is going on.
Yes. Yeah, why? What
Am I
happened?
not supposed to ask about it?
No, it's they're filming some stuff. It's just a weird.
I like how Paul's cautiously promoting it.
Yes.
Wait, what'd you hear? What'd you hear about it?
I see something behind his eyes. What's the most curious part?
Well, the most curious part is I never know, like, when you think of a documentary, there's two people, great people or really bad people. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to do a documentary on Einstein or Son of Sam.
Yeah.
But a fella like you, what's the documentary about?
Well, the weird thing is, so listening to you, you got me into The Last Waltz, all these great documentaries.
Yes.
And so I like documentaries so much that now I'm actually in one. So I don't know if that's the good way to have it happen. But there's a director, Don Hardy, who did a bunch of really serious ones. One about, like, it's called Witch Hunt with Sean Penn, like, executive producer about the death penalty, and a bunch of really serious ones. And he came to my shows in San Francisco and wanted to, like, follow around a comedian. He's also doing one about a band called Failure from the 90s. So I don't know how I feel about that. Failure and me.
This could be a comic called Failure.
So, but basically, like, he just followed. I did like 3 different shows on the same night in San Francisco, and he just kind of followed me from place to place. And also just this stuff growing up. Like, I was a basketball player, which nobody ever believes I was a basketball player. So all the people that know me as a basketball player can't believe I did comedy, and all the people that know me from comedy can't believe I was a TV sports anchor. So it's like he has film from all these different.
Oh, this is going to be a blast. I can't wait.
really good.
Can't wait to see it. Yeah.
Yeah, so.
No, Mike, are
2
you...
worlds, one man colliding. That's really true, though. I never thought about that, the documentaries. But Hitler was so evil that they do things on, like, people who were associated with Hitler. Like, this is the documentary on Hitler's barber.
Yes.
He went to an evil hairstyling school.
Yeah.
It's like, they go through the whole thing. It's like, how do you cut evil hair? I mean, what's behind that?
And, well, the barber, I saw that thing, and he was always talking about Hitler's cowlick, and he goes, we just couldn't get it under control. And that's where his racism came from.
How informal was it, though? Did he ask for the 3, like the guard? Did he say, just give me the regular.
Just give me the regular.
You know what I like.
Take some off the sides as much as you can leave on top. I'm going to be honest with you here. Mike, now you've got everything. Your set is ready, right?
Yeah.
Who's on the show with you, on the Tonight Show with you?
Orlando Bloom.
First of all, we were just dishing about him today because he banged a waitress and got her fired.
I did see that.
He fucked her.
But he was
so
sorry
well.
about it. The headline was like, Orlando's sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but I just wanted to get laid that night.
I think Orlando calls it Monday. I think.
Yeah, his life is pretty good.
It's great.
Despite what we say.
Well, how did it start? He was probably like, what are your specials?
Yeah.
She went right into a hand job. And that happened to be the...
Now, you got another person on there? Is there a band? Is it just Orlando?
Jamie Foxx, I think, is on.
That's nice.
And then there's somebody else. But I'm not a real big movie guy, so, or recently. a recent movie guy, so any of the new stuff, like, I don't know.
You've never heard of Jamie Foxx before?
I haven't know Jamie Foxx, and I've heard of Orlando Bloom, but I don't know if I've ever seen the movie with him in it. I know he's famous. I know he's a star. Yeah.
He did
the Pirates movies.
The Pirates movies, but before that, he had pointy ears, and we're all trying to fight for this ring. Is the name of it? Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the
Rings.
Rings.
Yes, that's the actual name.
Legolas, the elf.
He was Lego Boy.
Which no black people in Lord of the Rings movies.
Whoa.
Not one.
I was trying to think. There really isn't.
Took this racial.
Fictional world never put a black person in.
Wow.
It's a perfect world. We're trying to say if this was a perfect world.
Your working class white listeners are.
I thought maybe that's because, like, what? Just like the hobbits were the minority to them, so they were just like.
You know, I think the hobbits were considered the blacks, but the kind of, there is a black version of Lord of the Rings called Friday. And it's,
oh my God. That I like.
Fucking funny. Oh, you want some of these?
Yeah.
Everybody, would y'all like some little mints?
Tiny
little mints?
After coffee, maybe, yeah.
Do me a favor. Have one and then two after. Because I caught you coming through the door. Messing brought it up to me.
I'm good.
Yeah.
These are like, they look like roofies. Is it what's happening here?
Now there's a
new segment.
Did you guys watch this? I told you to watch it. It's out now about the comedy in the 1970s.
Yes,
I'm dying up
the comedy store thing.
Yeah. Now I'm gonna do a spoiler alert for you people at home, so I can bring this up because I want to kind of get into Mike's kitchen. So in 10 seconds, I'm gonna give away a spoiler. Do 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 do. Give me a countdown, Chris. 4 seconds. 4 seconds to the spoiler.
3 seconds.
Here's the spoiler. So a guy, he's at the comedy store. He gets the Tonight Show. And he goes out, does the Tonight Show, goes home, has a steak, watches himself, and then goes out, has a good set.
Right.
Johnny's happy with him, calls him over, and then he says, I could never be a higher moment than this as a comedian. So he goes out and walks in front of a bus, ends his life so he can end on a high. And if you do this, dude, if you fucking bring it, it would be the best for me. Would you do that?
Walk in front of a bus afterwards?
Well, you do it.
Because what else do you got to live for, dude? This is what you've worked for your whole life.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
I can have my documentary crew here just to get everything tomorrow.
That's really kind of you.
Why not make money off of it?
Yeah, but let's do it so it's more about you in the documentary. You're the one who, no, you're jumping.
I was the last person to talk to Mike.
No, I look at it as like I get hit by a bus, I sue the bus company, and then I make my money that way. The Tonight Show thing's really
And you're
meaningless.
so happy that you do that you step in front of a bus.
Yeah.
You're like, I finally made my money.
Who are you taking to the Tonight Show with you?
I've got a pretty strong green room, to be honest with you. Yeah, you want me to drop their names?
Yeah, drop.
I don't know. These guys are private citizens, so.
There's no comic going with you?
No, it's all comics.
All right, yeah, let's hear it.
Dan Soder, my house husband.
That is a mistake. And I'll tell you why. I live
with the guy. So
I know, but he doesn't stop chattering. I mean, you're going to be walking out there, and he's going to be telling you about some girl that he met. You know what I mean? Like,
well, you know what? It's interesting you say that because he's bringing his girlfriend.
That's uncomfortable.
So he won't be talking about that.
Yeah. All right.
Is this about him or is it about you? That's what I'm saying.
Yes,
we live together because we share a lot. We're there for each other.
So here's the only thing that you gave.
I was on the bonfire just yesterday.
I'm sure Soder doesn't want anybody to know that he has a girlfriend.
Soder's a private guy.
He is a very private guy.
He probably doesn't. It doesn't help.
Well, he's not helping you out.
It doesn't help me that I mention this on the radio, public forum. So I violated my code of omerta.
Oh, so you got Soder. Who else you got?
I have Ben Rosenfeld, who's a very funny comic in the city. Justin Silver, who had a show Dogs in the City. We've been friends for a long time since I moved to New York. And Ray Allen, Aruba Ray.
I got to tell you, and I know that he was just there with Pete Lee too. I think he would have.
Yes,
with Pete Lee. He's the guy who takes people to the Tonight Show now. Kind of a St. Peter of the Tonight Show. Did you see Pete Lee's Tonight Show?
Yes.
10 minutes later, he did very, very well. 10 minutes later, he gets a call from show business.
What?
And show business loved him. So this is a big night for you, and you feel like you got the right team around you.
The right team, the money team, is what Floyd Mayweather would call it.
Sure.
Money team. But yeah, actually let them, I'm going to be pacing anyway. I'm a maniac. I've already gone through several emotional breakdowns in the past couple days. Getting the right set, opener, all the changing it. I change it like 50 times. I don't know how other people work, but I've changed it 50 times. The time wasn't coming in right. So now I think I have it.
You got it.
And
now put it out of your
go
head.
Down with the ship.
Now that you got it, put it out of your head. Forget it.
Yeah.
You got it, then forget it.
Forget it.
Did you get a suit?
Yeah. I got a pretty, it's great that you asked me that. I got a pretty sweet suit, Gail. It's a ladies,
Nice.
It's a ladies thing. How are you going to look?
By the way, here's what I would do when you come out. You just look at everybody and you think and then go like this, Jimmy? And then into your set. You know, the people be like, what's the story with him and Jimmy? I guess they go back a way.
Is Mike personal friends with Jimmy?
I like also the hand, like you did like a my lord kind of hand. Like,
Jimmy?
How about you do
what
this?
that thing is called.
I heard a guy from the 80s was going to do the Tonight Show. The big thing was going over the couch.
Yeah.
And so he was just going to go right to the couch instead of doing a set. So just sit down first.
Go right to the couch.
Just start doing the set there.
I like the guests, the people who are already famous go right to the couch.
Yeah.
The comics have to earn it.
Yeah.
Like, let's see what you got in 5 minutes to see if you can make it to the couch.
Well, that was the things like when you would see Louis C.K. just would come out, do the couch, and then just start telling Letterman his set instead of standing over and doing it. And you're like, oh, he's moved up quite a bit in the world, hasn't he?
Now, here's the thing. I understand bringing over to the couch is like a big honor, but doesn't timing have to do with it too? Like they're going by 30 seconds to minutes. So it's
true.
if you have the extra time, you could...
Smart idea. Just chop off your last 2 minutes.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Where are you from? Good night.
and then just waltz on over to the couch.
And when they're doing the close-up, you're like, me? To the couch? Sure. And then you'll still have that 2 minutes that you can do right there.
Yeah, that's the scary thing is the timing thing you get kind of obsessed with.
Yeah.
How much time...
If they start applauding...
What's that?
They take out some of your time. Right?
Yeah, and so one time I was doing the Craig Ferguson show. Chris Rock is doing Tyra Banks next door.
Yeah.
While there's an interview going on, he just comes in, says hello to the audience, says, "Hey, I'm next door. Just want to say hi." Leaves. Producers come in Chris Rock is just. I was like, "Oh, that's so cool." He's like, 30 seconds off your set.
Oh, man.
So as I'm performing it, they're like, well, can't you just take off the last joke? I was like, that's the best one.
Yes.
That's the best.
That's the whole reason why I'm here. The last joke. Now, I think it only mattered if you were called over the couch during Carson.
Yeah.
The Letterman thing, there wasn't, because you have to remember, in those days, half the country that was awake was watching Carson.
Yeah.
And when I say Carson, I mean Johnny.
Oh, okay.
Carson Daly.
Yeah, it's not Carson Daly. Forget that fucking
Ben
guy.
Carson.
But halfway through,
That's
can
what
you
I was
just
hoping
say?
you were talking about.
Yeah.
Can you just say hey, do you want me to come over there now, Jimmy, or you want me to finish this? I'm killing it now.
It's up to you, Jimmy. This feels fucking strong.
I still like your idea of just faking it. Me? To the couch? No, I'm not saying that.
My friend Dan Soder's backstage. I don't know how many of you are.
Come on out,
I just can't. Let's bring him out here. He and I, there's a story we have about living together. I want him to tell it with me. Soder's not mic'd up. He just comes up. So you're sharing a mic, handing it back and forth.
That's the dream. I think that's the dream. I have a vision of going on telling a bunch of jokes and going back and forth between am I gay, am I not gay, and then leaving it open, and then my closer is cartwheel over to the couch. And then so they kind of know, but I didn't say it.
Right.
I'm not gay, by the way. If you're any of your ladies.
But what is
listeners.
the closing move though? This is the ultimate closer. right?
Yeah.
I think in this day and age, you just go right from that right into a podcast. You go podcast, act out podcast.
I would love to see
web
you
series.
podcasting. Yeah. I'm doing podcast the web series, and I think, and then there's after that I do a podcast talking about the web series.
That's the best.
Kind of behind the scenes. Yeah.
You do a shitty. That's such a great idea. A shitty web series with you behind it. Like, what were you feeling here?
Yeah.
I was feeling a lot of emotions behind the scenes of a shitty podcast.
Yeah, you can do the commentary of your Tonight Show set. So just play it, and then you doing a podcast talking about what you were thinking about banging Orlando Bloom's waitress friend in the green room.
That's really a great a waitress. Better than a hostess, because at least he got past the hostess to get to the waitress. If he was a sex addict, he would have fucked the hostess.
I mean, I was at the same restaurant and I fucked 2 busboys and no one even knows about it. And that's why people hate radio.
And it didn't make page 6?
No. And I fucked them in the restaurant.
Well, they couldn't tell anybody because they couldn't speak English.
Yeah.
But,
they could learn if they wanted to.
They just kept saying grande, though, so you must have a big piece.
Thank you.
Mike Vecchione and Paul Morris here in studio. Mike's performing on The Tonight Show tomorrow night on NBC. Go to MikeVecchione.com for all of his tour dates. And Paul is going to be at Come to Papa Live. It's happening at the Village Underground tonight at 8 p.m. Go to ComedyCellar.com for tickets and more information. Also on the show, Mark Norman, Sam Morrell, Marina Franklin, and David Juskow.
No,
wow, that's a power lineup.
That is a power lineup.
I like all those people.
But you still front-loaded the thing. I mean, you can't say The Tonight Show and then these guys will be down the street. That's
true.
Kind of bullshit, Chris. I don't know if I...
And by the way, I'm curing cancer tonight at the Stand, but you don't give a fuck about that.
Yeah.
Me and some very, I mean, not out there for the fame and money the way you guys are, but can we take a child and make his life better? Yeah, I think we can.
Ron will be at the Comedy for a Cure at St. Baldrick's benefit show.
Baldrick's?
Holy shit.
Baldrick's. With Dan Soder, Sherrod Small, Tim Dillon, Annie Letterman, Mark Norman, and more. That's tonight at the Stand in New York City, 8 p.m. Go to the Stand NYC.
Those are the same people who were on Papa. Like, what are they doing? Curing cancer, and then they're going to
making a couple bucks.
But that makes it sound like they're not that dedicated.
I'm very excited about this, and in agreement with me, Dan Soder is going to stay with me until I go out on stage as I cure cancer. I think I could probably cure it. I think that the way to cure cancer, what would you say the exact opposite of tobacco is? Because whatever that is, I bet it's really good.
Just air?
I say that's true. Meditation. Just breathing in air. It's the opposite of smoking.
Yeah.
They say that's the only reason why you smoke is they get that feeling of breathing deep. Yes. That's the reason why people, has nothing to do with the smoke, but well, Chris, you just restarted smoking, right?
Just after a year, I started smoking.
You quit for a year.
Yeah.
You were drinking and gambling, so you let yourself have a little cigarette.
The gambling is really in a casino.
Yeah.
At a roulette table is what fucking triggered me.
And now, how much do you smoke a day?
A pack and a half a day, like it was.
Jeez, man.
Come on.
That's why you're sweating so much with those T-shirts?
Addiction-wise, they say this, that your addiction travels on without you. So let's suppose you quit drinking for 10 years, right? Once you restart, it's no different than if you were drinking those 10 years.
Interesting.
You just fucking catch up to that point.
I don't know. That can't be right.
Most of the things they say sound crazy.
That sounds nuts because that's 10 years of damage that just
no, it
wasn't
isn't
there.
Just that. It's the more the psychological amount that you
like
drink. I know all you care about is the liver, but I'm talking about something more, the soul. Something that I understand, the Pope understands. Gandhi gets it. When I start fucking talking, I saw Gandhi lean in. And he's like, seriously? I go, just don't fucking interrupt me, Gandhi. I'm talking about peace right now.
I don't know. I don't know if I trust those doctors. Doctors are getting worse. You know what I mean?
I agree with you. First of all, they were always bad. And now they're even worse.
I'm very untrusting of doctors.
Yeah? Well, I think back in the day, if you were smart, you were valedictorian, you go to Ivy League school, you have to be a doctor because you're smart, or a lawyer or something like that. And then now, people say you can be whatever you want. So, like, the really smart kid is playing, like, the Van Halen cover band and wants to, play guitar instead of cure people.
There was also this. I mean, and you're right, it was the smart kids. But in my school, what we called smart kids was girls. I never saw one smart boy the whole time I was in fucking school. And yet you don't run into women doctor. Where do they?
Yeah.
Where's those kids in second grade that were light years ahead of us? I'm really thrown off by our behavior.
Can I tell you where they are? Because I seriously know.
Yeah.
They're in tech. They're all in tech. The tech fields, because that's money. That's a ton of money. When I was growing up too, it was like you went from that immigrant type mentality where it's like you be a doctor, you be a lawyer, you be somebody. But it's like those guys aren't making any money now. Doctors and lawyers aren't making any money. No. If you're a tech startup guy like that, that's where the money is now.
I yell at little kids, toddlers. I go, think apps the whole time. You're fucking what's the little app that you need?
Oh, you know what? That's the thing about growing up Catholic. It's like we didn't have apps, we had saints.
Oh.
So whatever your problem was, like you would just dial up a saint, like, I lost my keys, like St. Anthony.
That was the number one saint.
St. Anthony of Padua, not St. Anthony de Abbott, because he's skin infections.
I was asking the wrong one.
He's skin infections.
Who was
your skin looks great.
Who was the saint?
Yeah, you have great skin, but you can't find anything.
Thank you.
Got 9 chapsticks somewhere.
I don't know where they are, Paul. There was this saint that if you were selling a house, you used to put them upside down in your garden. You would bury them upside down in the garden. I can't remember which one it was.
I can't.
Saint of Realty, I guess.
There is a saint of. I guarantee there's a book of saints. My mother used to have it. Yeah. But it's on the internet now. A saint of anything that you can think of.
There's a saint of comedy.
Saint Genesis.
Yeah. Saint Genesis, acting, comedy, writing. You just put them in the entertainer.
I have this joke. I pray to Saint Genesis, the patron saint of comedy. But because he's the patron saint of comedy, before I pray, I do a little crowd work. To, loosen them up. Hey, where are you from?
You really need a whole Catholic audience to laugh. Deep Catholics. But I used to wear St. Genesis because my sister-in-law gave it to me. She goes, here, you like movies. She gave it to me because I wore that for like 15 years. But now I only wear, the only person I've ever prayed to is the Virgin Mary. I've never prayed directly to God, Jesus, or other saints.
You know what? I think God respects that. He respects the system. Right. He respects the fact that you respect the system.
Like middle management. You gotta respect middle management.
I wouldn't even say it's middle management. In this case, same way like if I was trouble at home, I didn't go directly to my dad and tell him what I did. I go to my mom. Soften the blow a little bit.
Right.
I go, Mom, I'm gonna need $2,000 but here's what I want you to tell Dad. I fucking stood up for some friends and now I got a new bail money. And she'd be like this, okay, let me talk to him. And like later he'd come over and go, I heard from your mom what you did. Like, yeah, she'd tell you how sorry I was. Yeah, and that kept the immediate frustration that he would have. And I feel the same way about God. I'm not going to directly go to him and say awful things that I've done.
Right.
I filter through female love and energy and acceptance.
It's like your publicist. He's your Sean Spicer. That's
yes. In a way, Sean Spicer, he goes out there, he spins gold, everybody believes him, and we all feel good about the country.
The Virgin Mary softens the blow with God. Mm-hmm. That's your theory.
I know it works though. I know, I think that the feminine energy of the universe is the healing loved one. And then the masculine energy is just like here. That's the wrath and
the worrying,
the worry and the ambition and all that.
Yeah, even if she was alive today, Virgin Mary, you know what she'd be doing? Tech, I feel like.
If that were true, it would be such acceptance in that technology. People would be like, I feel so good right now.
There'd be an app for hugs.
Yeah.
I need
People forget this. Jesus was kind of a mama's boy. You know what I mean? Like he didn't have a father around, and then a stepfather. You know, I mean, the guy did what he could. But, so in a way, it's like Soder. You know how Soder has that empty spot because he didn't grow up with a dad, and then he had these temporary fake dads? I think Jesus went through the same thing.
You know, but even
he calls them stunt dads, but go ahead.
Even like mama's boys, like still they have too much comfortability because sometimes they can like sass their mom too. Because I never forgot. It was like the story was like Jesus, and remember he was at the party, he was at the wedding, and then they ran out of everything, and Mary went to him and she was like, hey, you do that trick, you know what I mean, like the fish trick that you do, and the bread and the wine, and they need it, so it'd be really great. And he is actually like, woman, don't you ever tell me what to do. But then he went out and he did it, which really pissed me off. He was like, it was her idea, and then he was like, guys, I'm going to do the trick again.
But see,
enjoy.
I
She
think
was like, back there, like, that was my idea.
I think she understood that was part of the process with him, though. You know what I mean? Like he would, like, I can't do it. You know what I mean? She's like, yeah, honey, you can. You know what I mean? You've done it before. They know, like, they don't take it as personal as men do.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, that's old show business. They say Rodney Dangerfield used to do that. If he hung out at a club, they would say, the MC would go, hey, there's Rodney Dangerfield. Would you guys like to have him come up and tell a few jokes? And that's how he'd do it instead of being like waiting in line to try to like go on, you know?
Yeah, he wouldn't know, but first would he go like this? No, I couldn't possibly.
No. Okay.
I'm just here to relax and taking a night off.
I was talking about this with Seinfeld. You know, it's like when he drops in on a club, he doesn't walk directly into the club first. He's outside and waits for the introduction, and then he comes through the door.
Right.
Because what am I, just a fucking idiot sitting there with all these other assholes? Turn on your fucking TV tonight, 7:30. See if you don't laugh a little bit. Me, Kramer, George, the girl from Veep.
Every half hour, you can watch me.
Paul Morrissey and Mike Vecchione are in studio. Paul's performing on Come to Papa Live tonight, which is happening at the Village Underground at 8 p.m. Go to ComedyCellar.com for tickets and more information. And Mike's performing on The Tonight Show tomorrow night on NBC. Go to MikeVecchione.com for all Mike's tour dates. And Ron will be on Comedy for a Cure.
Oh, stop it. Stop it. I was only kidding about that. Now, are you doing...
Gail meets girl.
You're doing the stand tonight. You're going to do a quick run through. What, the first show? 8 o'clock?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to sit there. I'll take notes. But first of all, can I just tell you something? A smile goes a long way for me, you know? I mean, make sure you're coming into our bedrooms now.
Yeah.
So, like a big smile, you know?
You want me to smile?
And wear the suit tonight, all right? Because I want you to break it in, feel comfortable in it. No eating in it.
I tried it on. I really do look like a Gambino family associate. There's no stopping it. So it's hard to friendly that up.
You could be dressed like a cop and you'd still look like a Gambino associate. But you have that in you. You have that killer gene in you, that Italian gene. You're not gonna I just don't think that you would. I think if you did a hit, I don't see it staying with you a long time. I don't see it.
Oh no, I'm a neurotic.
Really?
Psychopath, yeah.
I'll put it behind me. You know what I mean? Like, I really do feel, because I know.
First of all, I'm amazed that I read all these mob books. So the guys who don't drink or do any drugs but are sociopaths, those guys amaze me the most because that's true evil. Like, they just drink club sodas, but they just go out and they murder whenever they have to.
They don't think of it the same way. You know what I mean? Like, they're literally, when they said doing a job. You know?
Yeah.
But you do it in your own way, like you're watching something horrible. Like last night, the Manchester stuff was on TV. It's horrifying. And I'm like, well, as soon as I heard it, I go, they're tweens, they're kids. And then like 15 minutes later, I'm eating ice cream. And I'm like, what kind of fucking person are you? You just had empathy a minute ago, and then I'm going like this. There's no whipped cream? This is the worst fucking day of my life. There's no whipped cream.
Yeah, but it's a thing we do where we disassociate from it.
There's only so much empathy. Like, there's even a number. Like, there's apparently a number of people that you can be empathetic with. It's like why doctors are able to do a job. It's why they're like, well, we lost that one. Yeah. Because if they felt it so hard every time, if every time they walked in there, like, this is somebody's son, this is somebody's
that's
dad,
why, can I say
would freak out.
That's why those guys are the worst comedy audience. One of the worst times I've ever bombed was in New Jersey at a country club in front of like surgeons.
Really?
I just completely, they got no kind of humor. And I'm like, this is why these guys are surgeons.
Well, they
don't have that sense of, they're just like, everything keeps at just a low level. They keep their heart rate at a low level so they can act.
But then you also say to those guys, you ever hear that Neil Young record? And they're like, who? They don't know things outside of that. Yeah. Like, they're going like this. Star what? Wars? No. I don't know it. I'll tell you somebody else that meant like that too, is baseball players. Baseball players focus on baseball. And then if you bring up other stuff to them, they're like,
They don't have like outside interest.
Who's he play for? I go, he doesn't play for anyone. He's our president.
But I think it's anybody who's obsessed with anything. Dan Gable, the legendary wrestling coach for Iowa, after he retired, he didn't know where the grocery store was in his town. You know what I mean? He's lived there forever. He never went to the grocery store. He would just go to Hawkeye Arena back, airport back, Hawkeye Arena back. That's it.
Yeah.
So.
But I think that happens to a lot of guys once they get married too. And then if something happens to their wife, they're going like this. So how do you lock this house? Is there a way? Is there a way to lock the house? I've been sleeping with the windows and doors open since my wife died. There's a lot of guys, you know what I mean? They're like, I don't know how to pack a suitcase. Where the clothes go inside or outside? Yeah. Well, you two bachelors, you understand. You have to do things, you know?
You have to do things, but I'm a routine guy. I get into a sweet routine. I love it. It makes me feel comfortable and safe.
And it keeps you from growing. It's
it really does. It really does, actually. That's actually a real problem, yeah.
Yeah, you got to do your Ari Shafir. You got to go to Myanmar for 4 months and then get off your routine. Yeah. Shake it up.
What do you think really happened there, though? I think you did something awful. Like, you know how, like, you said, like, you couldn't do a hit, but I bet if they sent you somewhere like there, you're like, I don't know anything about this place. I bet I can go over and kill that lady.
And then you could go home and be like, now the real world starts up again.
Yes, now I'll be back to myself.
Yeah, that you can actually pay to kill somebody over there for like, I think $2 grand or something.
Wow, that's more expensive than I'm willing to go right now. I can get that in my neighborhood.
Pricey.
Have you heard any of his stuff since, he's been back?
Ari, no. I was just at San New York and he was following me. I didn't stay.
Oh, thanks. I've heard him tell some of the stories. They're fucking crazy.
Yeah.
And it's a really smart thing to do from an act point of view.
Yeah, yeah. I mean? Well, that's what we were talking about is like, is this a contrived thing to like get material? But I think even he was talking about like when you tell these stories to people, you see people that aren't interested in traveling or anything. They don't really care. Right. And so they just zone out as soon as you start talking about like swimming through a cave. Yeah. Like, why the fuck would you do that?
That's why I stick to airplanes first. Boarding is crazy, isn't it, guys? Huh?
TV commercials. Who's this guy, right? Have you seen this guy selling the vans?
I mean, the list of the symptoms are worse than the actual thing that you...
Now, but that's true of anything. Like, let's suppose just for your act, you went and did something you wouldn't normally do. You just jump out of a plane. You probably have another 10 minutes.
That's a great strategy. Yeah. It really is a great strategy.
Yeah. You don't want to be too... well, that's the thing, too, now, when you have, like, people filming you, is like, my life is just boring, and then you want to actually do more exciting. Can I save a person? Can I get in a car accident? What do I do?
Because I do find it interesting that it takes, like, comics all of 5 minutes to be like, find out they're going to be a parent and be like, I'm thinking of the material. This is going to change my act.
Immediately, they got new chunks.
Yeah. Well, they're like, my material's still in the embryonic state.
But that is true. If you look at, like, most comedians, you're like, well, I stayed at the hotel for 13 hours, went in and did an hour, drank for a while, and went back to that hotel.
I had this thing years ago when I first started going on the road. Like, I'd wake up, I'm addicted to coffee, obviously. So I get up, they have the coffee maker right in the hotel. Mm-hmm. You have a cup just to get up and make it out of the room. But then they have coffee in the lobby, so you have a cup down there. And that gets you to the Starbucks where you have 2 more cups. Then you have an anxiety attack, go back to the hotel and hide under the covers.
Mine was, I had a joke about it every time I went to a hotel that had some kind of like, whatever the gel was. You know, like aromatic wood. Oh, it smells like I'm sanding a bench tonight. I would open with a joke about the soap in the hotel. Great. And I was like, oh my God, that's
Well, it's always funny to me, comics will do that thing about the maids don't pay attention to the do not disturb. And I'd be like, look, you're in front of a bunch of normal people. No one stays in a hotel to sleep till noon.
Right.
They're either at work or on vacation. They've never had a maid walk in on them.
Or they're like traveling to another place. Like they're like crashing that night, so then they're leaving super early.
They're driving. Yeah, they're always out of there by 8, 9 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, and they actually want the room cleaned. Yeah. Like, we're just hoarding our shit.
Yeah, because you guys are temporarily living there, not just...
You didn't want her to see your porn. Don't come in here and clean my shame.
It is that thing, like, I don't know how bad you are, but I get comfortable in a hotel within like 15 minutes. I got everything unpacked just all over the place. And it's really sad, like, if somebody comes in and like, didn't you just get here today?
No, I'm a psycho because I had bed bugs like 5 years ago in the city, and I have PTSD. So now when I go to a hotel, I put everything into the bathtub. I strip, put everything into the bathtub like a psycho. I sit down, I get online, and I check the bed bug registry. And I see if the hotel is on the bed bug registry. And if it's not, I just assume the bed bugs have taken over the registry. And now, they have the power.
Well, this isn't going to help you, but I just saw a study that the bathtub was the dirtiest place in a hotel room.
Is that right?
Bed bugs don't like to go to the bathtub.
No, I don't know. I think it's
germs. I would welcome germs as opposed to bed. That was a terrible experience. It's the worst. They're the worst insects ever. I'd rather be stung. I'd rather anything.
You didn't like them?
You can't get rid of them. I got them as soon as I moved in. I guess they came with the apartment, and I was talking to a friend at the comic strip, and he's like, "Yeah, move." I'm like, "Yeah, dude, I just moved in. I'm not moving because of a couple of bugs." He's like, "Dude, mark my words. Just move out. Just move out." 7 months later, I was like, "You were right." I fought it for 7 months. I'm like, "I'm moving." He just kept attacking me.
And the person who lives in that apartment right now, Orlando Bloom. Orlando Bloom moved in there.
I thought it was Dan Soder.
That's what prompted me to move in with Dan Soder.
And his girlfriend.
Well, she doesn't live there.
I guess they're not that serious then, are they?
They just started. They just started.
What's her story? I mean, why would someone date Dish? You ever feel like that about any of your friends? Like, why would he?
I do feel that way about some friends, but Soder's not one of them. Soder's a freaking, this guy's great.
You just love Soder.
He's a great dude. Yeah. I tell you what. I spend every waking moment with him.
Can I tell you something? I saw him do a single act of kindness not too long ago. Kind of fell on the sword for somebody else. I'll never even tell the story because it would be Dan's story, and he was being protective at the time.
Really?
And I was like, I said to him after, I go, "You didn't realize how kind that was." And he goes, "Yeah, but it would have been really uncomfortable if that didn't happen." But most people wouldn't do it.
Can I ask, was it for a friend or someone he did not know that well? Who he fell on the sword for?
I'd say it was for a friend.
Okay.
But, and it wouldn't even be that dramatic of a story, but I would get, something that, it's like most people just don't do that. They don't, their first instinct isn't towards kindness.
Right.
It just isn't.
Yeah.
You know?
He's a kind soul.
It's always funny when you run into people who are like, "Hey, what can I?" I'll try to think of like comedians. Brian Regan is like, "Is everybody okay?" You know, like if he's in a thing, did you get? Are you drinking? Did you have something that you know? But that's very rare for a comedian to find out if everybody else in the room.
Yeah, that's like
okay.
Tom Papa's a little bit like that. He's like the dad of like the one grown up guy around all of us.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering how this makes it seem like how big a deal was this? Was this like curing like leprosy or like
I'm curing cancer tonight with actually Dan Soder and a couple other people. Chris won't talk about it, but it's a really wonderful event.
It's Comedy for a Cure, a St. Baldrick's benefit show with Dan Soder, Sherrod Small, Ron Bennington, Tim Dillon, Annie Letterman, Mark Norman, and more. Shows at 8 p.m. at the Stand Comedy Club. Go to thestandnyc.com.
Not to change the subject, but can you tell me who St. Baldrick is the saint of?
He's the saint of helping children with cancer. Look him up real fast. We'll find out what.
Because they have one cause and they have a bunch of unrelated causes, like also bakeries.
Yeah,
like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's always a random one.
Well, you know, St. Jude's, that children's hospital for what? Does anybody know?
What is the St. Jude the patron saint of?
Yes.
The impossible.
Yeah, hopeless cases.
Oh, really?
So he's the extreme miracle that you need.
Whoa, and I feel like he shouldn't want to go in that hospital then.
Well, Danny Thomas was like not making any money as a comic. He was, quite frankly, an unfunny Arab. And he prayed to St. Jude and said, "If you let me reach my dreams, I will build an incredible monument to you." And then as he got older, he was like, "That's silly a monument. I'm going to build a hospital." It's like the greatest hospital in the world for children.
Yeah.
They take children from all over. St. Baldrick.
St. Baldrick is not a real saint.
That's going to be trouble.
Okay.
What is it? What's the show then? A Ponzi scheme?
It seems
a fake cause. Oh, we got to the bottom of it.
What we're doing, we're raising money to get Bertie Madoff out of jail. Is that such a bad thing?
It goes for Chris. Chris is hoping the Celtics cover tonight. That's where it's going.
Are you serious about this? He's in the St. Christopher thing?
St. Christopher's fucking great. And
he's not real either.
I know, they got taken away.
He's not taken away, he wasn't real. I'm asking about St. Baldrick. Follow the fucking conversation.
St. Baldrick's a mashup of St. Patrick's Day and the word bald. Two things which sum up the humble beginnings of the St. Baldrick's Foundation, a childhood cancer foundation.
That's so weird.
Wow. Go with there's so many actual saints.
Yeah, so many actual saints looking for work.
Gail, you went to Catholic school?
I did not go to Catholic school. I did like the CCD thing, and then I dropped
feel like
out.
You're pretty well versed.
Yeah, like I was semi-raised Catholic.
Well, you
Catholic witch.
Here was the thing. I know that people say I give my kids a choice, but I also introduced them to the tradition of our family. Like, this is the people. And like, a lot of people are acting like, oh, I'm not going to keep carrying that around. I'm like, yeah, but somebody in your timeline probably got fucking chased out of Ireland for being Catholic or, you know, beat up or whatever.
Honestly, I really think about like being Catholic similar to Judaism. Like, I think it's very similar where you can go, this is like where I'm from and this is my people. You don't necessarily.
Well, there are Catholic countries, Ireland, Poland, Italy, Spain.
I think it's cultural.
There is a certain cultural thing to it, particularly after the 50s or whatever, when the backlash. I mean, there was an initial backlash when the Catholics came here, and then the Catholics got a lot of strength, and then the priests fucked it up for everybody else. They pulled that Chris Stanley kid fucking thing.
I don't know. That's not my thing.
That's literally what they said. It's literally what the
that does go deep though. The cat, like when I went back to Ireland, you know, that's where the family is from. Obviously, every Irish guy looks like me from the 1800s, and like I was drinking Bass, the beer, and they're like, you can't drink that. That's the Protestant
beer. It's a Protty beer.
Yeah, that's great. Did you go to Catholic school, Paul?
Yeah, no, I just grew up Catholic. I couldn't do the whole full school experience, but I had to go to church every week, so I'm pretty.
Chris, what whiskey do you drink?
Jameson.
You don't drink Bushmills?
I usually buy and drink Jameson. I don't drink Bushmills.
Because Bushmills is the Protty whiskey. That's for Protestants.
Oh, is it?
Let fucking Van Morrison drink fucking Bushmills.
Is everybody on here Irish except for me right now?
Yes, and
I'm a little uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Well,
but I'm half. I'm half.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, she is.
Which is like the Catholic hybrid. It's like the Irish Italian. It's like
that's
a very common. It's a very common combo
Italian.
in the Northeast.
The third, like I said, would be Polish, because when I grew up, in my neighborhoods, there was the Irish Catholic Church. That's the one that I was born into. But my two best friends, one went to the Italian Catholic Church and the other one went to the Polish Catholic Church, and their parents didn't want them going to the other Catholic church and getting fucked up with it.
Right.
But that is all stopped. You're lucky to keep a church open these days.
Yeah,
but we have within like a mile and a half 3 different things. Some of it just nationality based. And it makes sense because the traditions are there.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, we didn't want pasta with every meal. We thought it was
too much.
Yeah, pasta first thing in the morning. No, that's more than we need.
Yeah, that's the town I grew up was where the first meeting of the Godfathers got busted though. So I feel like
uptown in New York.
Yeah, Appalachian.
Yeah,
that's great. That was my school. We go Appalachian. So that's what happened was they have like one dirt road in that town, and all these guys drove Rolls Royces up the dirt road.
And then went running through cornfields like fucking kids.
Yeah, and they said that basically they knew who everybody was because they obviously been following them, but they weren't doing anything wrong. So I don't even think many guys got arrested because of it.
Well, it was more of an identification.
Yeah, that was the problem, and that was when they started thinking RICO. Where, like, if these guys even talk to each other, you know what I mean? If they do business with each other, we'll bust them on that without anything else being involved. Like, I saw you talking with another Italian guy. We're taking you both in. Who's your favorite mobster of all time, though?
The guy, there's a couple fascinating guys. The guy who was the head of Chicago.
Serrano?
No, he took
Run?
over. The reason why, because he took Carlo Gambino is unbelievable because he was the boss of bosses, and I also like the Genovese Vincent the Chin, because he would walk around in a bathrobe in the village and play crazy,
talk to himself,
and then they would try to convince. He just pled insanity, and they couldn't get him until the late 90s. So he ran the family from like the 50s to the 90s, and because he kept that act up, that they couldn't prosecute him.
Jeez.
But there was a guy in Chicago, I'm trying to think of his name, but he ruled after Capone he died in 92. And you see them bringing him in when he's a young man before the Senate Judiciary Committee. Mm-hmm. And then you see him in like 1990. He's like an old man and they're still quiet and he's refusing to answer. And it's like, that's so brilliant that the guy could run that violent organization for 50 years, 60 years.
I always like Crazy Joe, because for being the first guy who brought blacks in. Mm-hmm. And you're like, it's so obvious. It's like, same way I feel about Branch Rickey and the Dodgers. I'm like, yeah, why wouldn't you go grab those guys? But he's like, hey, this seems crazy, but I think if we bring some black killers into this gang, it's really going to make us scarier than anybody would know.
Hear me out.
What about for you, Chris?
I like Lucky Luciano.
What is it about him?
I like the nickname.
That he's lucky?
Lucky.
Yeah.
Was that sarcastic?
No.
The nickname?
No. His story is like, he was a rising hood or whatever, and there was those rival factions, and he got beaten. They kidnapped him and they beat him to death, and they thought he was dead, and they left him on the side of the road to die. But he didn't die. He clung to life, and then got back to full strength, and then he just like took revenge. Yeah. So he was lucky that he didn't get murdered because they left him for dead.
Oh man, yeah.
That's why he had that lazy, like he got really beaten badly. Yeah.
Yeah, that, what was it, Coppola, when they were talking about The Godfather, he just told everybody that, like, these guys are all gonna try to become friends with you, but don't talk to them, right? Wasn't that the thing? Like, all the actors, like, all the real gangsters wanted to be friends with them. Yeah. Like, don't let any of these guys in your life. Just
They will be in your life forever.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Which has gotta be, the most frightening thing. When someone says, you know what, I think I'll partner up here. I think this will be awesome.
No.
Because they act like they're being positive about it, you know?
Please.
The Sopranos did a good job of that, because Christopher was trying to get into the business, and he was like in there like, they wanted to step away from him after a while. And then he started getting violent. That makes them more violent, you know? Because they're not used to being told no.
Yeah, yeah. And he had a screenplay going.
Yeah.
Think about coming to the West Coast.
He would be great at that for me. He was fucking great, so Imperial in that show when he had Christopher.
So great.
Because he was kind of heartbreaking half the time. Because you're like, oh yeah, he's young enough, he could have been something else. You know? He could have been something different.
Well, that's the weird one, is that I was goofing about that Jimmy Serrano thing, because he was the guy from Midnight Run, and that guy was supposedly a cop. And I thought he was one of those guys that was like a gangster in real life and became like an actor.
No, he was a Chicago. Dennis Farina was a Chicago cop. Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. Because he's like the scariest when he's in that.
Oh yeah.
That car with
so great
with Grodin, and just telling him, I'm gonna kill your wife.
Yeah.
Now, did you guys ever meet anybody before?
Because
I met somebody when I was a kid that Scorsese and De Niro are doing a movie on now.
Oh yeah.
And it was this guy Sharon. He was like a union organizer, and when Jimmy Hoffa disappeared, that guy's name was like, have lunch with him. That was the only thing that he had that day. So he wrote, or somebody wrote a book about him called I Heard You Paint Houses, right? And this was around Wilmington, Delaware to Philadelphia. And he was organizing shit, and he was very scary. I was working as a bellboy at this hotel that he had kind of taken over a little bit and was like running stuff, like running his organization out of there. But I heard this story about him that somebody, like he had a girlfriend, and his girlfriend had been hit by a train. And like 2 days later, the bartender said to him, like, oh, I heard about your girlfriend. I'm so sorry. He goes, she was a cunt. And I'm like, I heard that fucking story. So sometimes I'd have to do room service, and I'd just be very quietly putting stuff down, you know? Just like, oh, don't fucking spill anything.
Dude.
But here's another weird thing that no one, so he was at the time supposedly working back and forth with a young senator, from Delaware, Joe Biden.
Really?
Like him and Joe Biden. Then no one would ever think of Joe Biden that way.
No.
And maybe he did nothing but, hey, can we get the guys working, union stuff? I don't know.
Yeah.
But it was always in the back of my fucking head.
Well, Trump had to deal with it. I mean, like, he came up during the Scarfo regime in Atlantic City. Like, Scarfo and the Philly and Eddie, all those guys, like, controlled the union. So to get anything built, you had to go through those guys.
And you always, just building in New York City, having your trash picked up in New York City. Yeah. And I'm always wondering, with all the stories that come out, you never hear Trump attached to that,
that's true.
Because he's too busy working with the Russian mob. But, but it's very funny that you never hear, because even if he was doing a payout,
right,
that would have hurt his campaign.
He does the one thing those guys don't do, golf.
Yeah.
Like, gangsters don't golf. They eat, they gamble.
Right.
But no golf courses.
The thing I love about the Italians is, like, they kill you and then, it's not enough. They kill you and then they have to put like hundreds in your mouth. Right. Symbolic that you were greedy or you talked to him. It's like, all right, we get it that he's dead. Like, I get it. He's dead. It's like, no.
Open his mouth. The parakeet will fly open.
We gotta send a message.
Paul Morrissey and Mike Gaffone are in studio. Paul's going to be performing at Come to Papa Live, which is happening tonight at the Village Underground at 8 p.m. Go to ComedyCellar.com for tickets and more information. And Mike's performing on The Tonight Show tomorrow night on NBC. Go to MikeVecchione.com for all Mike's tour dates.
Chrissy, we just giving us the wrap up. Is that why you said they were in studio, or we got time?
We have 4 minutes.
Okay. All right, so when this mob thing. Gail, best gangster movie all time.
Best gangster movie of all time. I mean, you gotta go with The Godfather. I don't think...
Still Godfather.
I think you still have to go with The Godfather.
Okay. 1 or 2?
1.
Wait.
I go Godfather. Godfather 1. Also.
Godfather 1?
I agree.
I'm Godfather. I like Goodfellas too, though. Goodfellas is close.
Chris?
Godfather 2.
Godfather 2.
Really?
And mine's Mickey Blue Eyes. So, seriously, when they have to act like they're in the mob, like, hey, yo.
Not My Blue Heaven?
Yeah, My Blue Heaven's actually fucking hysterical. That was based on, because it was written by Nora Ephron, whose husband did The Godfather, and that was based on the fact that everything that he said in Goodfellas was probably a fucking lie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, this guy killed, I was just there. You know what I mean? I was carrying stuff. But he never kills anybody.
Yeah.
He's such a good guy. Like, hey, put that down. I'll help you get rid of the body, but I really had nothing to do with this. All you other guys kill people.
I don't know how he got away with that, because in his plea deal or whatever, he had no murders, but later on, like, Stern, he admitted to like 3 murders. I don't know how that works.
Yeah, the point shaving thing. That's how that thing whole thing happened, was because they were interviewing him, and he's like, "Yeah, that was when I used to fix games up in Boston." And they're like, "What are you talking about?" And the prosecutor guy, happened to go to Boston College, right? Yeah. And so they ended up doing. Those guys got convicted and suspended just based on Henry Hill, like, saying that off the cuff.
Yeah.
He was hanging around NEW one night when I worked there, and people went down, Hard Rock Johnny was there, and Henry Hill said, "Hey, fat fuck, I'll pay you $100 for a cigarette." He just takes out his checkbook, writes it out for $100, signs it Henry Hill, fucking hands it to him, and takes the smoke.
So great.
That fucking that check was worth less than the cigarette.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, he just didn't give a fuck. Like, yeah, I'll write a bad check for you. Give me a smoke.
But then you have the check, which is like, that's worth everything.
Yeah. But there's like a fucking boldness. First of all, it's just saying, "Hey, you fat fuck," to somebody.
Right.
Which is just already great.
It's like you're saying, "Hey, you fat fuck," and then they're like, "I bet I can pay you, but you're going to actually take this money from me. Still give me a cigarette."
All right, that's it. We're out of here tomorrow night. Best of luck to you, buddy. I'll be watching.
Exciting.
And you're so fucking terrific. I can't wait for this documentary too. Any idea when this is going to happen?
No. We'll filming more this summer, so hopefully the fall maybe.
I'd like to be in it in a fist fight with you, or champagne in your face.
I'll bring him next time. We'll get you in it.
Let's do it. Chris, anything to plug?
Ron will be at Comedy for a Cure at St. Baldrick's Benefit Show. That's tonight at the Stand.
It's not even real. I just found out.
StandNYC.com for tickets.
All right. See you guys again in 1974.
Ladies and gentlemen, the evening is over. We hope...
You've been listening to Bennington.